Chapter 463. The chaotic light curtain that was enough to withstand Daoyuo Jinxian's attack was shattered with one blow. Fortunately, although the chaotic light screen shattered, the attack that was powerful enough to blast a human clan expert into smithereens was blocked. When did the demon clan army arrive? In the human emperor's palace, Feng Zichen watched this scene with lingering fear. If his reaction had been a little slower, the consequences would have been unimaginable. At the same time, he was also a little angry in his heart. To be able to hide from his perception, causing him to only notice the abnormality when the incident was about to happen. There was no doubt that the experts of the demon clan had made a move, and there was more than one of them. Otherwise, with the current strength of the demon clan, without Tai Dijun and Fushi taking action, with the demon clan's current strength, it was absolutely impossible for one person to hide from his perception. Demon clan, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Feng Zichen was ruthless in his heart. He raised the human emperor's seal in his hand, and was about to smash it at the elite demon clan, intending to destroy them with one blow. The demon clan had really gone too far. Did they really think that he, the great Taoist priest, was a vegetarian and did not dare to kill? Without the greater one emperor, Jun and Fushi, he alone could wipe out the entire monster race. Believe it or not, not only was he invincible against Daoyuo Jinxian, but he also had a primordial treasure. With the combination of the two, he even dared to fight with a saint. Fellow Zichen, please calm down. Leave the matters of the younger generation to the younger generation to deal with. With your status, wouldn't you lose your dignity for nothing if you bicker with them? However, just as Feng Zichen was about to make a move, a voice suddenly came from afar in the void. There was a bone-piercing coldness in that voice, as if it could freeze everything. There was also a kind of bearing that could accommodate all rivers, which was quite extraordinary. The moment this voice came, the time and space around Feng Zichen suddenly froze, and a lonely and cold aura came over. With this move alone, Feng Zichen knew that the strength of the person who came was at least at the peak of the sage-to-be. With a thought, he knew who it was. After all, the cold and desolate aura that was unique to the northern underworld was too conspicuous. Apart from the Lord of the Dark North and ancestor Kunpeng, who was the master of all demons, who else in the Eldritch world could have such a vision and such strength? Oh, so it's fellow Taoist Kunpeng. What? Fellow Taoist, why have you come to my shaman tribe instead of staying in the northern underworld? As he spoke, Feng Zichen's hand movements did not stop. Instead, he secretly increased his strength and blasted towards the demon clan elites. Not good. Seeing this, the Kunpeng realized that something was wrong and hurriedly tried to block it. A huge claw covered the sky and pressed towards the human sovereign seal. Upon seeing this, Feng Zichen's heart stirred. The human emperor's seal changed direction and blasted towards the Kunpeng Grand Ancestor's supernatural power. With a rumbling sound, the two collided. A terrifying power erupted, but the giant claw was unable to withstand the might of the emperor's imprint and was blasted into pieces. However, the human emperor's seal was also shaken back by the huge recoil. After all, the human emperor's seal was Feng Zichen's trump card. How could he expose it so easily? He still planned to trick one or two people. Therefore, this time, he did not activate the true power of the human emperor's seal, which created the illusion that he was slightly better. But even so, Feng Zichen had achieved his goal. Some of the aftershocks of the two's fight passed through the void and blasted towards the demon clan elites. About 2,000 people were killed on the spot, and the rest were all injured. Fellow Taoist Zichen, what do you mean by this? In the void, the Kunpeng appeared and said with a sullen expression. Feng Zichen attacked the demon clan in front of him. It was obvious that he did not take him seriously. How could he, who was proud and arrogant, tolerate this? Who was the Kunpeng? He was one of the 3,000 guests of the Purple Cloud Palace, a top great medium in the Eldritch world, and in existence who had almost become a sage. In addition, he was the first person besides the 3 emperors of the demon clan. His strength was unfathomable. Now that the 3 emperors were in seclusion, he was the real number 1 person of the demon clan. For someone like him, no matter where he went, everyone had to give him some face. When had he ever been humiliated like this? Oh, It was not that he had never been humiliated. The humiliation he had suffered in the Purple Cloud Palace was much more serious than this. Thinking of this, the Kunpeng ancestor's expression became even uglier. The way he looked at Feng Zichen became even more ferocious. If it weren't for this person, how could he recall such a humiliating past? What do I mean? Fellow Taoist, you really have the nerve to ask. Your demon clan's Daoyuo Jingxian can take action, but my human clan's Daoyuo Jingxian can only watch? As if he didn't see the anger on the Kunpeng's face, Feng Zichen said sarcastically. As the current #1 person of the demon clan, the purpose of the Kunpeng ancestor coming here was very clear. There was no other reason except to restrain him and prevent him from participating in this battle between humans and demons. So, Feng Zichen was too lazy to be polite to him. If you want to fight, then let's fight. At this moment, Feng Zichen seemed to have figured it out. The human clan was going to die anyway, so why should he endure it? Anyway, it didn't have any effect on the result. Therefore, he decided to do whatever he wanted to do. He didn't intend to abide by any rules or agreements. The human clan was about to be exterminated. Why should he follow your rules and be led by the nose by you? Now, everything had to be done according to his rules. Because according to the current situation, he was the real #1 person among the active great mediums in the primordial world. He was the strongest. And rules were often set by the strong. Fellow Taoist, you must be joking. The demon clan's Daoyuo Jingxian can take action, and the human clan's Daoyuo Jingxian can take action, but you're not an ordinary Daoyuo Jingxian. Hearing this, the corner of Patriarch Kunpeng's mouth could not help but twitch. Yes, Feng Zichen was indeed a Daoyuo Jingxian. He was also a newly promoted Daoyuo Jingxian, and the youngest Daoyuo Jingxian in the primordial world. However, things were not settled like that. Feng Zichen, the Daoyuo Jingxian, was too strong. There were only 3 people in the demon clan who could suppress him. If he took action, even the demon gods of the demon clan combined would not be enough for him to kill. Facing Feng Zichen directly, only then did he know the terror of the great Taoist priests. At this moment, Kunpeng had a feeling that he might not be his match. This made Kunpeng blame Dijun. He knew that the human clan had such an expert, but he still dared to destroy the human clan. Wasn't he afraid that the human clan would be ruthless and come to the heavenly court to kill? Fellow Taoist Kunpeng, it's useless to say more about this. The demon clan is going to destroy my clan, and I have to endure it. This is absolutely impossible. So if you are dissatisfied with me, feel free to attack. With a cold smile, Feng Zichen said very straightforwardly. If you are dissatisfied with me, come and hit me. If you don't dare, then get lost quickly. Since that's the case, I'll have a taste of your divine abilities. Patriarch Kunpeng also cared about his face. Since he had said so, if he still did not attack, he would really become a joke. Chapter 464. After that, Ancestor Kunpeng showed his original form, and turned into a huge beast that looked like a fish and a bird. He spread his wings and rushed toward Feng Zichen. Knowing that Feng Zichen was not easy to deal with, Ancestor Kunpeng went all out. For any race, only the original form could allow them to unleash their strongest combat power. Whoosh! Kunpeng flapped his wings like a cloud in the sky. He was unimaginably huge and spanned hundreds of millions of miles. Wherever he passed, the void collapsed and time ceased to exist. A cold and silent aura arose spontaneously, as if to freeze and destroy everything. You're courting death. Seeing this scene, Feng Zichen only felt a surge of anger in his heart. He wished he could tear Ancestor Kunpeng into pieces immediately. Kunpeng's mind was too vicious. Kunpeng was a huge beast from the untainted land. His body was unimaginably huge. Except for the first-generation ferocious beast that was transformed from the remains of the Chaos Demon God, it was difficult to find another beast of his size in the untainted land. Kunpeng flapped his wings and covered the sky. Although it was said to deal with Feng Zichen, in fact, the entire territory of the human clan was within his attack range. The purpose of his attack was not to hurt Feng Zichen at all, but to destroy the entire human clan. Thinking quickly, Feng Zichen understood Ancestor Kuanping's purpose and knew that he could not take this attack head-on. It was not that he could not block it, but that he could not block it. Otherwise, the aftermath of the battle between the two powerhouses could destroy the entire territory of the human clan. Fellow Taoist Kuanping, the human clan is too small. I can't fight you here. How about I take you to another place? Secretly activating the power of the human emperor's seal, Feng Zichen shifted time and space and transferred the attack of Ancestor Kuanping to the boundless starry sky. Haha. Fellow Zichen, you don't have to do this. Poor Wei thinks this place is good enough. Why do you have to spend more effort and change the battlefield? Ancestor Kuanping said proudly with a smile. Leave? That was impossible. Only by staying here and fighting, Feng Zichen would be worried about the human race, so he would hesitate to attack the rat for fear of breaking the vases. He would not dare to fight with him freely. Only in this way could he gain the upper hand. But once they left the territory of the human race, Feng Zichen would have no scruples and could let loose. Then it would be hard to say who was stronger between them. Therefore, before this battle ended, he would never leave the human territory. This was the only weakness that Patriarch Kuanping could find after studying Feng Zichen for many years. Humans. As long as he threatened the human race, Feng Zichen would definitely have scruples and would not dare to use his full strength. Feng Zichen was alone. Not many people in the untainted land dared to provoke him. After all, even if Feng Zichen couldn't win, he could still run away. He would find a place to cultivate for 1,000,000 years and come back for revenge after reaching the primordial chaos Dao realm. At that time, how many people in the untainted land could do anything to him? But with the human race as a burden, it would be much easier to deal with Feng Zichen. The human race was too weak. Any quasi-saint could exterminate them. His heart was for the human race. That was his only weakness. Damn it, this Kuanping is really despicable. After hearing Patriarch Kuanping's words, Feng Zichen was so angry that his face changed, and he cursed in his heart. This Kuanping was planning to be shameless to the end. But he had to admit that Patriarch Kuanping's move was indeed the best way to deal with him. Fellow Taoist Zichen, let's see how the poor Wei's supernatural power is. After one attack failed, Patriarch Kuanping attacked again. A monstrous giant claw shattered the void and destroyed tens of thousands of Dao, grabbing at Feng Zichen. Of course, just like the previous attack, the human territory was also within its range. Old bastard, shameless. Although Feng Zichen was furious, he still did not dare to fight back, because he was worried about the living beings in the human territory. Instead, he continued to activate the Emperor's seal, and moved Kuanping's supernatural power to the boundless starry sky. Fortunately, the Emperor's seal was a connate treasure. No matter how strong Patriarch Kuanping's supernatural power was, as long as he had not reached the primordial chaos realm, he could not escape his teleportation. Fellow Taoist Zichen, why don't you fight back? The name of the sword ancestor is well known in the untainted land, and the power of the great Taoist priests is awe-inspiring. Poor Wei has long wanted to experience your supernatural power. Today is a coincidence. Fellow Zichen, why don't you teach me a thing or two? Feng Zichen's forbearance had encouraged Patriarch Kuanping's arrogance. As he spoke, one after another, earth-shattering supernatural power was released from his hands and blasted toward the human territory. Facing Patriarch Kuanping's mockery, Feng Zichen did not say a word. He silently moved his supernatural power to the boundless starry sky through the Emperor's seal. For a moment, neither of them could do anything to the other. It was a stalemate. However, just as they were in a stalemate, there was indeed a change in the boundless starry sky. The battle between Feng Zichen and Patriarch Kuanping had alarmed many people. Among them, the 10 great demon gods paid the most attention. The demon master actually made a move? This is really a happy event. With him making a move, the destruction of the human race is a foregone conclusion. Outside the southern heaven gate, the 10 great demon gods, who had been worried before, immediately felt relieved after seeing Patriarch Kuanping make a move. Demon Master Kuanping was the pillar of the heavenly court, and one of the leaders of the demon race. He was countless times more powerful than them. Wasn't it a piece of cake to deal with a mere human? With him making a move, the demon gods were relieved. However, before they could rejoice for long, they saw a sudden change in the void in front of them. A pair of wings that blotted out the sky appeared from within and flapped directly toward them. Oh no! Although the demon gods didn't know what was going on when they saw this strange scene, the feeling of extreme danger prompted their bodies to react as quickly as possible. Connate spiritual treasures rose from the demon gods' hands one after another. They shone brightly and carried a terrifying wave as they blasted toward the Kunpeng's wings. Boom! The combined attack of hundreds of Connate spiritual treasures shattered the Kunpeng's wings on the spot. However, the aftermath of the collision between the two sent the demon gods flying. Although they were not injured, they had lost a lot of face. This is the demon master's supernatural power. Why would the demon master attack us all of a sudden? Baizé got up from the ground and said in surprise. The Kunpeng Patriarch's supernatural power had a strong characteristic of the northern underworld. There was only one in the untainted land, so it was easy to recognize it. However, it was because of this that Baizé was surprised. Weren't they on the same side? Why would one of them attack one of their own? Unfortunately, before Baizé could figure out the reason, the Kunpeng Patriarch's second supernatural power arrived. A monstrous giant claw tore through the air and grabbed toward their heads. Let's join forces. Without any hesitation, the hundreds of demon gods outside the southern heaven gate spontaneously formed a formation. They defended their spiritual treasures and joined forces to resist the Kunpeng's supernatural power. Although the Kunpeng was strong, there were hundreds of Daluo Jingxian outside the southern heaven gate. There were also the 10 great demon gods, who were comparable to ordinary sage to be experts. They could resist the Kunpeng's attack if they joined forces. Boom! The Kunpeng's supernatural power blasted toward them. The protective shield that the demon gods held up together only shook but did not shatter. However, their expressions became somewhat unsightly. Obviously, they did not feel good after blocking the Kunpeng's supernatural power. After all, the Kunpeng was an expert in the great perfection of sage to be. In addition, he did not dare to hold back at all in order to deal with Feng Zichen. Each of his supernatural powers contained great power and could easily injure Daluo Jingxian. If there were not enough demon gods present, they would have been severely injured or even killed by the Kunpeng's supernatural power. That's right. The supernatural power that blasted toward the demon gods was the same one that the Kunpeng Patriarch blasted toward Feng Zichen. Suffering losses? That was not Feng Zichen's style. Since the Kunpeng Patriarch dared to scheme against him, he would return the favor. Feng Zichen did not move the Kunpeng's attack to the boundless starry sky without any reason. That was the base camp of the demon race. The human race could not resist the Kunpeng's supernatural power, but the demon race could. The demon race had a deep foundation and powerful strength. They could even resist 3 Kunpeng, let alone 1. Therefore, Feng Zichen planned to let the demon race share the pressure for the human race. The scene of the demon master attacking the heavenly court would definitely be very beautiful. Boom, 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 one supernatural power after another came crashing down, and each attack was stronger than the last. The demon gods gradually could not withstand it. The demon master must have been schemed against. Let's retreat quickly. As long as we retreat to the heavenly court, we will be safe. Seeing that the Kunpeng's supernatural power was endless, Baizé knew that if this dragged on, they would be seriously injured even if they did not die. Then, they would really be the joke of the primordial world. With that thought, Baizé had a plan in his heart. He roared and said, "Everyone, let's join forces and attack forward so that we can retreat to the South Heaven Gate." The heavenly court had the support of Dijun, Tai Yi, and all the demon gods of the demon race. It could be said to be one of the safest places in the primordial world. The Kunpeng alone would definitely not be able to break it. If they escaped back to the heavenly court, they would be safe. Alright. The demon gods could not hold on any longer. Seeing that Baizé proposed a solution, they hurriedly nodded. Then let's do it. With a flash, Baizé revealed his true form. He activated the numinous treasure with all his might, and attacked in the direction of the Kunpeng's supernatural power. After Baizé, The group of demon gods also revealed their true forms and charged forward with him. After the attack, the demon gods did not even look. They turned around and rushed toward the South Heaven Gate behind them. Behind them, the Kuanping's supernatural power had just been teleported over by Feng Zichen when hundreds of different supernatural powers drowned it. In the Imperial Court of Human Tao, Feng Zichen, who was in a stalemate with the Kuanping Patriarch, suddenly frowned as he sensed the abnormality outside the South Heaven Gate. Want to run? Can you run? With a thought, Feng Zichen secretly used a method to increase the power of the Kuanping Patriarch's supernatural power by more than 10 times. Boom! With Feng Zichen's secret help, the Kuanping Patriarch's supernatural power exploded and crushed the hundreds of supernatural powers in the blink of an eye. Then it attacked the demon gods who were running away without slowing down. Oh no! The unforeseen event at the rear naturally alarmed the demon gods that were fleeing at the front. But before they could react, they felt a terrifying force coming at them, landing squarely on their bodies. Chapter 465. Bang, 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 a series of collisions sounded. The demon gods were blasted into the southern heavenly gate and smashed into the ground or the wall. Damn it! Ugh! Among this group of demon gods, the 10 great demon gods were the strongest. Therefore, they ran the fastest. It was also because of this that they suffered the lightest injuries. They only vomited a mouthful of blood and were not seriously injured. They quickly got up from the ground. However, those who ran slower and were reduced to the last demon gods completely endured this wave of attacks and were severely injured on the spot. Although their lives were saved, their bodies that had been polished for countless years were destroyed. Only a connate indestructible true spirit escaped. It could be said that they were extremely miserable. Even if they condensed a new body, it would not be comparable to their previous body without millions of years of polishing. Of course, other than these unlucky ones, the other demon gods did not suffer much damage. After all, they were last in line. The main attacks were blocked by them, and the remaining aftershocks did not cause much damage. Contact the demon master immediately and tell him to stop fighting. As soon as he got up from the ground, Baizé shouted anxiously. The reason for this matter was very clear. The demon master had been tricked by Feng Zichen. He had used some unknown method to transfer the demon master's divine power to the boundless starry sky to attack the demon clan. The great Taoist priest's methods are really extraordinary. After understanding this, Baizé sighed. This time, if they were not closer to the southern heavenly gate, a few of them would have died under the demon master's attack. At that time, if they were killed by their own divine power in their own territory, the demon clan would become famous. At the very least, if this really happened, Patriarch Kuanping would probably be too ashamed to face anyone. Boom, boom, boom. While the demon gods were panting, a few more divine powers blasted over and hit the southern heavenly gate fiercely. However, the southern heavenly gate was the door to the heavenly court. Not only was it supported by Dijun, Tai, Fushi and the others, but it was also supported by the heavenly Tao. It could not be destroyed easily. Kuanping's divine power hit the southern heavenly gate, but it did not even shake. It was obvious that it was tough. Humph. You guys ran fast. Seeing that he could not break the defense of the southern heaven gate, Feng Zichen snorted and changed his target, directing the Kuanping's attack to Zhousing. Zhousing was the foundation of the demon tribe. It was the capital for them to dominate the untainted land. Naturally, it was very important. Not only was it protected by the innate formation, but it was also guarded by many powerful demon immortals. Normally, it was very peaceful. However, something unexpected happened today. In the boundless starry sky, a divine ability blasted down from time to time, targeting Zhousing. That divine ability was extremely powerful. The first strike had destroyed the innate formation that the demon clan had set up to protect Zhousing. The second strike had severely injured the demon god, overseeing the heavenly cycle star. The third strike was even more impressive. The heavenly cycle astral banner, the supreme treasure of the fiend race, which was used to control Zhousing, shattered into pieces. In other words, The arrangement that the demon clan had spent countless years to set up on Zhousing was mostly destroyed in 3 strikes. What? What a bastard! In the heavenly court, a group of demon immortals looked at this scene in a daze. Obviously, they did not dare to imagine what they were seeing. After being stunned for a moment, they could not help but tremble in anger when they reacted. Quick, quick, contact the demon master. We can't let him fight anymore. If he continues, the foundation of the demon clan will be gone. Baizé reacted the fastest. In the blink of an eye, he understood the key point. This divine ability came and went without a trace. In addition, there were many Zhousing, and they did not know which one it was targeting. Moreover, even if they knew, they could not stop it. They could not stop it at all. The only thing they could do now was to eliminate the source. This divine ability belonged to the demon master Kuan-Peng. As long as he did not attack, this calamity would be over. Without hesitation, a group of demon immortals used the demon clan's secret technique to contact the demon master Kuan-Peng. This secret technique was known by the demon clan's Daoyuo Jingxian. It was not very powerful. It only had one use, and that was to contact the demi-saints of the demon clan. Whenever Daoyuo Jingxian encountered a problem that he could not handle, he could use this technique to contact the demi-saints of the demon clan. Now a group of demon immortals was obviously planning to use this technique to contact Kuan-Peng and report to him everything that happened here. Only however, the secret technique that usually worked seemed to have completely lost its effect today. No matter how the demon immortals tried to sense it, they could not contact Kuan-Peng. How could they contact him? The void near the human clan had long been sealed by Feng Zichen. Without his consent, no one could send any information inside. After such a delay, a few more Zhousing were attacked. Switch people. Inform the Heavenly Empress immediately. Seeing that they could not contact Kuan-Peng, Baizé made a prompt decision. He, the primeval moon god, the master of the lunar star, was also an expert of the great perfection demi-saint realm. However, in order to give birth to the 10 golden crows, her innate origin was damaged. She had not recovered, so her strength and realm did not match. However, her strength was still not to be underestimated. This time, Feng Zichen could not stop her. How dare you? On the lunar star, He, who was recuperating in seclusion, heard the report from the 10 demon immortals and immediately came out. She controlled the power of the lunar star and blasted it into the depths of the starry sky. Kuan-Peng's divine power could not withstand the power of the lunar star. This time, Feng Zichen could not continue attacking the Zhousing. Sigh. What a pity. Seeing Shihi's attack, Feng Zichen knew that he had lost his chance. He regretfully withdrew his divine power. However, in this short period of time, Feng Zichen had already liberated 9 Zhousing and escaped from the demon clan. At this moment, all the living creatures in the untainted land raised their heads. They could see that among the 365 main stars of the untainted land, 9 of them were extraordinarily bright. Boundless star power hung down from them and flowed into the untainted land. This was the true appearance of the Zhousing. Since the demon clan occupied the Zhousing, the star power that flowed into the untainted land had been decreasing day by day. The demon clan intercepted all the star power and used it to cultivate their clansmen. Zhousing became dim because of this, and the creatures gradually forgot the true appearance of the Zhousing. Today, Feng Zichen made use of the Kuan-Peng to destroy the arrangement of the demon clan on the Zhousing, so that the 9 Zhousing could regain their former brilliance. Although it would not be long before the demon clan regained control of the 9 Zhousing. However, this undoubtedly shook the foundation of the demon clan's rule over the untainted land. In the past, except for the experts of the older generation, few of the experts of the new generation knew the secret of the Zhousing. But now, almost all the creatures in the untainted land knew that the star power of the Zhousing had been intercepted by the demon clan, which caused the star power in the untainted land to be thin. How could the creatures not hate them? They were preventing them from achieving the Tao. It could be said that they were irreconcilable enemies. In the future, the demon clan would be in trouble. In the imperial court of human Tao, as the 9 Zhousing were liberated, merit gradually gathered on Feng Zichen's body. This was the acknowledgement of his actions by the heavens and earth. thinking that he had contributed to saving the Zhouxing. From this, it could be seen how unpopular the demon clan's action of blocking the Zhouxing was. Even the heavens and earth could not stand it anymore. How could such a race be indestructible? Fellow Taoist, you are really good. The poor Wei has underestimated you. The change in the sky naturally alarmed the Kunpeng. With a sweep of his divine thought, he understood what had happened and could not help but say with an ugly face. Today he had lost all his face. He had been completely fooled by Feng Zichen. He could already imagine how he would be ridiculed by others when he walked in the primordial world in the future. As a result, the Kunpeng's face became even more twisted. He looked at Feng Zichen as if he was about to spit fire. However, the Kunpeng was best at enduring. No matter how great the humiliation was, he could endure it. Just like the insults from the primordial origin in the Purple Cloud Palace. Or when Dijun forced him to join the demon clan, he could endure it. Compared to these, the humiliation that Feng Zichen brought to him today was nothing. Therefore, after a moment, the Kunpeng calmed down and his expression returned to normal. Fellow Taoist, aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by others if word gets out that you are bullying the weak? Looking at Feng Zichen, the Kunpeng said indifferently, as if nothing had happened. Pfft! Feng Zichen was so angry that he laughed. Bullying the weak? He was bullying the weak. It was simply a joke. When you attacked just now, you tried to kill the human clan with every move. If that wasn't bullying the weak, what was it? Now you are making a false accusation. How shameless. Fellow Taoist Kunpeng, I'm afraid your shamelessness is not inferior to the demon clan's supreme treasure, the East Emperor Bell. Feng Zichen said sarcastically as the corner of his mouth twitched. You. The Kunpeng's heart that had just endured was almost broken by Feng Zichen's words. However, he had experienced it before, so he forced himself to endure it. Fellow Taoist Zichen, don't be unreasonable. How can ants be compared to Daoyuo Jingxian? If ants die, they die. It won't be long before a large number of them appear again. But Daoyuo Jingxian is different. They are the darling of heaven and earth, the embodiment of the great Tao. They are friends of poor Wei and the others. How can they be easily killed? Fellow Taoist, as the great Taoist priests, aren't you bullying the weak by attacking ordinary Daoyuo Jingxian? Yes. The Kunpeng had already begun to pester endlessly. He did not intend to attack Feng Zichen now. He just wanted to delay him and not give him a chance to help the human clan. In this way, with the current strength of the human clan, they would definitely not be able to stop the demon clan. It was only a matter of time before they were destroyed. Of course, the Kunpeng wanted to pester endlessly. His words also had some sense. That was what he really thought. The Daoyuo Jingxian and the creatures below the Daoyuo Jingxian had long been different in life form. They were two different individuals and could not be regarded as the same. With the Kunpeng's thoughts, it was really difficult to understand why Feng Zichen cared so much about the ant-like human clan, and even did not hesitate to put himself in danger. Their nature was already different, and their thoughts were not on the same level. Why did he care so much? Why? Chapter 466. Puzzled. Kunpeng was not the only one who was puzzled. All the powerful beings who knew Feng Zichen were also puzzled. What was so special about that group of ant-like humans that Feng Zichen cared so much about them? But although they were puzzled, this did not prevent them from using this to plot against Feng Zichen, who asked him to expose his weakness so obviously. He really could not blame others. Haha. Feng Zichen could only sneer at Kunpeng's words. He was already planning to be shameless. What else could he do? Only he was more shameless than him. A shameless person was invincible. This sentence was really a wise saying no matter where it was. At the same time, Feng Zichen secretly decided in his heart that in the future, he would try his best to be shameless when he could. That was the way to go in the long run. Just like today, if he had been shameless earlier and ran to the heavenly court to cause a ruckus before the demon race attacked the human race, he would not be as passive as he was today. Throughout the history of the primordial world, those who achieved great things were all thick-skinned and black-hearted. Just like Tao ancestor Hongjun, if he had not schemed against the three races of the Khanate realm, and used them as cannon fodder to weaken the strength of the demon sect, How could there be the prosperity of the Xian sect today? This was a model of it. And his disciple, the Grandmaster of Heaven, cared too much about his face. As a result, almost all his disciples were on the God roll during the Battle of Gods. The disciples who were not on the list were worse than those who were on the list. They had become the mounts of their enemies. How miserable was that? Another model of being thick-skinned was Taoist Kundi. He relied on his thick skin and obtained countless benefits. He was the main contributor to the prosperity of the Buddhist sect in the future. With this ancestor, Feng Zichen understood. Face and whatnot, how much could it be worth? In the face of huge benefits, apart from the bottom line, face could be appropriately abandoned. Fellow Taoist Kuan-Peng, are you planning to waste time with me here? After thinking through this, the haze in Feng Zichen's heart dissipated a lot. He could not help but smile and look at Kuan-Peng with a strange gaze. Of course. Fellow Taoist, you should have a spatial attribute connate spirit treasure in your possession. Moreover, its grade is not low. It's at least high grade, or even supreme grade. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to move the poor way's divine ability to the boundless starry sky. Therefore there's no point in fighting with you, fellow Taoist. No matter what divine ability the poor way uses, she will be teleported to the heart of the demon race and cause great damage to the demon race. The poor way has already been tricked once. It won't happen again. The Kuan-Peng old ancestor said slowly as he looked at Feng Zichen with jealousy. Only a primordial spirit treasure of space attribute could quietly move his supernatural power to the hinterland of the demon clan. And it must be a high-level primordial spirit treasure. According to Kuan-Peng's speculation, this space elemental primordial spirit treasure was very likely to be of the highest quality. As for whether or not it was a primordial treasure, he didn't even think about it. After all, there were too few primordial treasures in the untainted land. There were not even 10 known primordial treasures. It was impossible for Feng Zichen to get them. If Feng Zichen had a primordial treasure and activated it with his strength, he could even contend with a sage. It would be a piece of cake to deal with him. How could he allow him to be so arrogant here? In summary, it was impossible for Feng Zichen to have a primordial treasure. However, even a supreme-grade primordial treasure was enough to make Kuan-Peng envious. Everyone knew that the Kuan-Peng old ancestor was very poor. How poor was he? As the lord of the northernmost sea and the master of the demon race, he had no more than 3 primordial treasures. Among these 3 primordial treasures, the only one worth taking out was the Demon Master Hall, that was rewarded to him by the heavenly Tao. From this, it could be seen that Kuan-Peng was so poor that he couldn't even compare with some of the richer Daoyuo Jingxian, let alone other great mediums. Therefore, after guessing that Feng Zichen might have a supreme-grade primordial treasure, he revealed a jealous look. He was too poor. What a poor child. A supreme-grade primordial treasure could make him like this. If he knew that Feng Zichen even had several primordial treasures, wouldn't he go crazy? Why don't you try close combat? In this way, I won't be able to move your magic, right? Feng Zichen ignored Kuan-Peng's jealous look. Instead, he smiled and gave him an idea. Haha. Hearing this, Kuan-Peng showed a mocking smile. Did he really think he was a fool? Everyone in the untainted land knew that Feng Zichen was the authentic Pangu and had created the way of gods and demons. The strength of his body was no less than that of the ancestor of sorcery. It was crazy to fight with him. You're kidding. Not to mention that your body may not be weaker than that of the ancestor of sorcery. You have a space attribute primordial treasure in your hand. Poor Wei doesn't dare to get too close to you. Everyone knows that the space attribute primordial treasure has its own small world. If she gets too close to you and is pulled in, she will be at your mercy. So you'd better not bother. Just stay here with poor Wei and wait for His Majesty to come out of seclusion, Kuan-Peng said as he silently distanced himself from Feng Zichen. At the same time, he was secretly guessing whether Niwa had given the mountain river map to Feng Zichen. Otherwise, he would be so confident. Fellow Taoist Kuan-Peng, do you think you can stop me by yourself? Seeing that Kuan-Peng was stubborn, Feng Zichen couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. He was determined to use force to pull him into the chaos outside the sky and teach him a good lesson. Haha, Zichen, you're the great Taoist priests. Poor Wei alone can't stop you. Well, Poor Wei's helper is here. Kuan-peng shook his head and smiled. He saw Kuan-peng looking at the moon star in the starry sky. There, the moonlight of the moon scattered and gradually condensed in the void, forming a beautiful figure. It was the Empress of Heaven, Shihi. Greetings, fellow Taoist. Shihi appeared and went forward to greet him. Fellow Taoist, you're welcome. Feng Zichen nodded in return. Seeing that it was Shihi, Feng Zichen couldn't help but be a little vigilant. Shihi was different from other great mediums. She was the Empress of Heaven, recognized by heaven and earth, the most noble woman in the untainted land. She was the mother of the world and had the power of rank. She wasn't easy to deal with. While Fengzi was secretly vigilant of Shihi, she didn't notice that in her bedroom in the human Dao imperial court, there was an inexplicable change in Chang Yi's body with Shihi's arrival. A kind of power was slowly recovering. As for Shihi, she didn't notice it either. The human Dao imperial court was a part of the Khanate cardinal treasure, and the carrier of the human Dao. Its power was limitless. Isolating one's aura was the most basic operation. Even if a saint came, as long as he didn't enter and stand outside, he wouldn't be able to find any abnormalities. Fellow Taoists, are you really going to stop me? After thinking for a while, Feng Zichen decided to fight first. He would only know if they were strong after fighting. Chapter 467. The two of them didn't say anything, but their intentions were clear. They were going to stop him. If that's the case, then don't blame me for being rude. With a plan in mind, Feng Zichen activated the human emperor's seal and covered the surrounding space. What? Shihi and Kuan-peng stared blankly at Feng Zichen's actions. They didn't know what he was trying to do, but then they understood. Feng Zichen pointed at the human emperor's seal, and countless Dao patterns flew out and swept toward the two of them. Oh no! The two of them were shocked when they saw that. The Dao patterns were filled with the power of the void. Even though Shihi and Kuan-peng didn't recognize this Dao pattern, they could guess its function from this point. It should be some kind of great divine ability related to void teleportation. Obviously, Feng Zichen wanted to teleport them somewhere else. That wouldn't do. Without the restraint of the human race, Feng Zichen would turn the world upside down. The two of them might not be able to defeat Feng Zichen. Understanding this, the two of them didn't dare to let the Dao pattern of the void get close to them. They immediately used their divine abilities. One of them surged with moonlight, while the other surged with the power of Feng Shui. They disrupted the surrounding void and tried to force the Dao pattern away. Unfortunately, Feng Zichen was too fast, and the human emperor's seal was powerful enough. The Dao pattern of the void directly ignored the two of them and enveloped them. Haha! Come with me, fellow Taoists. With a laugh, Feng Zichen activated the human emperor's seal and pulled the surrounding void, as well as Shihi and Kuan-peng. They performed a great teleportation and arrived in the boundless starry sky. Fellow Taoist Kuan-peng, don't you want to experience my divine ability? As you wish. As soon as they arrived in the boundless starry sky, Feng Zichen didn't give the two of them time to react. He stretched out his right hand and took out the million sword illustration and shook it. In an instant, countless sword lights shot out and drowned the Kuan-peng ancestor like an ocean. At the same time, Feng Zichen pointed at Shihi, and the human path furnace suddenly appeared and covered her head. How dare you? Shiha and Kuan-peng were both furious at the sudden attack. Shiha raised her hand and two wheels, one gold and one silver, rose from her body. They activated the power of the sun and the moon, and pushed away the furnace of the human path. It was a Khanate spiritual treasure, the Sun-Moon Wheel. It was a rare combined Dharma treasure in the untainted land. According to legend, when Dijun and Shihi got married, the sun star and the moon star shook together, and a primordial spiritual treasure emerged from each of them. They were the Sun Wheel and the Moon Wheel. When the two Khanate numinous treasures were separated, they were only superior-grade Khanate numinous treasures. However, if they were combined, they would be a supreme-grade Khanate numinous treasure that was extremely powerful and could manifest Khanate yin and yang. As a celestial emperor, Dijun had no lack of Khanate spirit treasures. Therefore, he gave this supreme-grade primordial spiritual treasure to Shihi to protect herself. Shiha was not rich. After all, before him, the lunar star already had a moon god. Most of the Khanate spiritual treasures nurtured on it became Wang Shu's possessions. There were not many left for Shiha. Now, Shiha was using the supreme-grade Khanate spiritual treasure, the sun-moon wheel. The power of the sun and the moon rolled out, manifesting the mystery of yin and yang, and defeated the human path furnace. Although the human path furnace was extraordinary and contained part of the true meaning of the great Tao, it was only a superior-grade Khanate spiritual treasure. Compared to the sun-moon wheel, it was still one grade lower. How could it be a match for it? It was normal for it to be forced to retreat. On the other side, Kunpeng saw the sword light surging over like a tide. He did not dare to be careless and hurriedly showed his Dharma body. He turned into a huge golden-winged giant prung bird. He spread his feathers and emitted billions of golden light, colliding with the sword light. Kunpeng's strength was extremely powerful, but his luck was not good. He had been in the world for many years, and did not have a suitable Khanate spiritual treasure. However, nothing was absolute. Without a powerful Khanate spiritual treasure, Kunpeng ancestor focused more on developing his own potential. Kunpeng was a rare species in the untainted land. He had one soul and two bodies. He was the embodiment of endless creation and endless potential. After many years of development, his physical body was no weaker than a Khanate spiritual treasure. His supernatural power was even more exquisite. He was about to reach the limit of supernatural power. Everyone thought that Kunpeng's luck was not good, and he could not get a Khanate spiritual treasure, but that might not be the case. With his status, was it difficult to get a Khanate spiritual treasure? It was not difficult. It was not difficult at all. If he went to the demon clan's treasury to take a few Khanate spiritual treasures, would Dijun disagree? He did not take it because he did not need it. It was said that supernatural powers were no match for fate. But Kunpeng did not believe it. He wanted to use supernatural powers to reverse fate. Khanate spiritual treasures would only make him dependent, so he did not want them. This was the boldness that a great supernatural power should have. After many years of polishing by Kunpeng, his feathers were no weaker than superior-grade Khanate spiritual treasures in terms of power. Feng Zichen's casual attack certainly could not hurt him. Kill. After repelling Feng Zichen's attack, the two joined forces to attack him. Kunpeng showed a huge Dharma body and fought with Feng Zichen in close combat. Every attack seemed to be made by nature, connecting heaven and earth, and containing the supreme mystery of Tao. Shihi activated the sun and moon wheel from afar, drawing the power of the sun star and the moon star, deducing the power of yin and yang and blasting toward Feng Zichen. The two of them fought in close combat and attacked from afar. They had a clear division of labor and worked together to kill Feng Zichen. They intended to keep Feng Zichen in the boundless starry sky forever. What about Feng Zichen? Facing the siege of the two top great supernatural powers of the primordial world, he did not panic at all. Instead, he seemed a little excited. Good timing. I haven't fought with anyone since I became the great Taoist priests. I can use you to practice and test my strength. Seeing the two of them coming, Feng Zichen said calmly. Then, he threw the million sword illustration in his hand, and it turned into a vast sword realm in the air. It pulled Shihi and the sun and moon wheel into it and fought with them. Then, he showed Pengda's Tao body and turned into the same size as Kunpeng, and they fought hand to hand. Over the years, Feng Zichen fought with the shadows of the chaos demon god day and night. He felt that his mastery of the great path was getting deeper and deeper, and his strength had increased by more than a few times. However, he did not have a clear understanding of his strength, because no one had fought with him. Now, fighting with the Kunpeng would definitely allow him to have a clearer understanding of his own strength. Boom. Just like that, the three of them fought in the boundless starry sky. 1 against 2. Feng Zichen was still not at a disadvantage. As Feng Zichen, Kunpeng, and the others left, the sealed spacetime in the human tribe's territory was unsealed. What happened? On the immortal Dragon City, a group of human masters looked in front of them blankly. They had no idea what had happened. In their memory, a moment ago, the chaos formation was suddenly activated, and then a terrifying light beam broke through the air and shattered the chaos light screen. Then 5,000 demon clan elites appeared, and they were terrified. But suddenly, extremely suddenly, 4,000 of the 5,000 demon clan elites were killed, and the rest were all injured. Strange, extremely strange. What happened just now? With the weak cultivation of the human masters, of course, they did not know the danger just now. They were almost killed by Kuimping several times. This was the tragedy of not being able to become Daluo Jinxian. If a sage-to-be wanted to kill them, they could not even find out, let alone resist. They did not even know how they died. Of course, while the human masters were confused, the demon clan elites were even more confused. How did less than 1,000 of the 5,000 die out of nowhere? However, the demon clan had a strong foundation. After a while, the remaining demon clan members understood what had happened. There was an 80% chance that there was a force stronger than Daluo Jinxian who wanted to kill them. As for why they were not dead, it should be because the powerful demon clan figures stopped them. Cough cough. Gather the troops. After a few light coughs, a demon clan deputy general who was lucky enough to survive struggled to his feet and gave the order. Why was he the one who gave the order? Because the leading demon general and his deputy general were all killed by Feng Zichen with one seal. Among the surviving demon clan members, he had the highest status. Everyone, the Lord ordered us to destroy the human race. But before we could do anything, there was a sudden accident and we lost more than 80% of our men. The soldiers who are still alive are all injured. So do we still continue to attack the human race? After counting the losses, the demon clan deputy general said with a heavy expression. The losses were too great. It was not an exaggeration to say that they had lost less than 100% of their strength. Of course, it was easy for 5,000 elites to destroy the human race. But it was not certain if 1,000 injured people could destroy the human race. Therefore, the deputy general hesitated. He did not know if he should continue to attack the human race, or return to the heavenly court to recuperate. Fight, of course we fight. The demon god paid a huge price to send us here. If we retreat to the heavenly court before we do anything, the demon god will not let us go so easily. Moreover, the human race is just a post-celestial race. Even if we are injured and have less than 100% of our strength left, we can still destroy them. As soon as the deputy general finished speaking, the demon clan soldiers immediately rejected him. Hundreds of demon gods worked together to send them here, not for them to play. If they returned without any results, they would be courting death. Therefore, no matter what, they had to fight the human race. It did not matter whether they won or not. The most important thing was to let the Lord see that they tried their best. Alright then. Everyone charge with me. The deputy general clearly understood this. Seeing that no one had any objections, he gathered his men and charged toward the Immortal Dragon City. Immortal Dragon City. After such a huge commotion, the human experts clearly saw the demon clan elites charging toward them. They were shocked and angry. They were shocked because when did the demon clan elites arrive? They were angry because this group of demon clan elites was looking down on them too much. They dared to attack the human race with just over 800 people, and they were all injured. How little respect did he have for them? No one could stand this. Damn it, the demon clan is too much. We can be killed but not humiliated. Today, even if we have to give up our lives, we must kill all these demon clan elites. Seeing the demon clan army charging toward them, the human experts' eyes turned red. They wanted nothing more than to skin them alive. Chapter 468. Set up the formation. In front of the Immortal Dragon City, the demon elites unleashed their powers and connected with the Zhousing formation, drawing in the power of the Zhousing formation. Suddenly, the shadows of 36 ancient stars appeared in the sky above the demon clan elites. 36 Big Dipper stars. This was the Big Dipper formation. The demon race had mastered the Zhousing formation for many years. Naturally, they couldn't have created just one Zhousing formation. Of course, there were many other formations related to the stars. For example, the Big Dipper formation, Big Dipper formation, Big Dipper formation, Big Dipper Formation, and so on. The demon elites were naturally not comparable to the demon cannon fodder. They were the direct descendants of the demon race. They were better equipped and the formations they mastered were more powerful. The Big Dipper Formation was the formation they mastered. It could borrow the power of the 36 Big Dipper stars to fight against the enemy. Originally, the Big Dipper Formation set up by the 5,000 demon elites could trap even Daluo Jinxian. Wasn't it easy to destroy the human race? But now, only about 800 of the 5,000 demon clan elites were left, and all of them were injured. The Heavenly Dipper Formation was much weaker than before, and they were not sure if they could defeat the human clan. Activate the Big Dipper Formation. We must kill all these demons. The human race roared angrily when they saw the demon race activating the formation. Boom! A cloud of chaotic energy appeared. Then it divided into yin and yang, the 3 powers, the 4 divisions, and the 5 elements. It enveloped the immortal dragon city. Kill. Without any hesitation, the 2 sides used their strongest attacks. Buzz. The 36 Big Dipper stars trembled and transformed into 36 giant silhouettes of gods. They charged towards the immortal dragon city in an attempt to break through the human race's first line of defense. The Big Dipper Formation shook at the same time. Streams of Khanate Chi whizzed out like a heavenly river bursting its banks. It was vast and unpredictable and swept towards the 36 gods. Chaos could melt everything. The torrent of Khanate Chi inherited the characteristics of chaos. It had the ability to melt everything. After drowning the 36 gods, it began to wear down their power. However, these 36 star gods were connected to the Big Dipper stars in the sky. No matter how much power the Big Dipper Formation wore down, they could still replenish it from the Big Dipper star. Furthermore, with just the strength of the 36 star gods, they would not be able to break free from the Great Primal Chaos Formation. As a result, the 2 formations were in a stalemate. Kill. Kill all these demons and the Big Dipper Formation will collapse on its own. On top of the Dragon City, the group of human experts had ferocious looks in their eyes. They activated the immortal Dragon City, while controlling the indestructible dragon soul to charge at the demon race elites. A great battle broke out. While the humans and demons were fighting, the battle between Feng Zichen and Kuanpeng Shihe was getting more and more intense. Haha. Fellow Kuanpeng, I really don't know where your courage comes from. You actually dare to fight me in close combat. You are simply courting death. Even the ancestral sorcerer wouldn't dare to compete with me in terms of physical strength in the same realm, let alone you. In the boundless starry sky, Feng Zichen sent ancestor Kuanpeng flying with a punch as he laughed loudly. He was not joking. He had used Zhouxing to reverse Panga's Dao body, and had achieved great success. The strength of his physical body was not much weaker than that of the ancestral sorcerer of the same realm. After that, he obtained the Pangu Meridian diagram that the Magi had evolved from the primordial world map from the Magi. In this way, by comparing the two, Feng Zichen had corrected his previous mistakes and his physical body had been further strengthened. Even the ancestral sorcerer had to admit that at his cultivation level, his physical body was weaker than his. Kuanpeng was simply courting death by competing with Feng Zichen in terms of physical strength. Boasting. Of course, Kuanpeng did not believe what Feng Zichen said. If he said that his physical body was as strong as the ancestral sorcerer's, Kuanpeng would believe him. But was it not a joke to say that he was stronger than the ancestral sorcerer? The ancestral sorcerer's physical body was known to be the strongest in the primal chaos. That was recognized by everyone. It was not just because you said you were stronger than him. Why? You don't believe me? Seeing that Kuanpeng did not believe him, Feng Zichen had a strange look on his face. He flashed and came in front of him. Without saying a word, he threw out a group of punches. This punch contained the insights of Feng Zichen and the shadow of the Chaos Fiend God that had fought for countless years. The supernatural powers were refined into the flesh and blood. Every move, every drop of blood, and every strand of hair were all supernatural powers with irresistible power. Kuanpeng raised his claws to meet it. Boom! The punch and the claw collided. With a crack, Kuanpeng's claw was broken by Feng Zichen's punch. After the punch, Feng Zichen did not stop. Instead, He took another step forward and came to Kunpeng's side. He grabbed his wings and pulled them with all his might. Hiss! With a hiss, Kunpeng's wings were directly torn off by Feng Zichen. However, Kunpeng was also extraordinary. He endured the pain on his body and used an uninjured claw to grab Feng Zichen. Bang! The giant claw hit Feng Zichen's body with a bang, but it did not cause him any harm. My friend, is that all you have? You can only scratch my itch. With a smile, Feng Zichen stretched out his hand and grabbed Kunpeng's uninjured claw. With a strong twist, he broke it. Then, Feng Zichen formed a fist seal with his hands. A majestic aura rose from his body, and Pengda's shadow appeared behind him, setting off his great figure. Feng Zichen raised his fist and was about to release Kunpeng. But at this moment, Shihi drove the sun and moon wheel to break through the million-sword picture and kill him. Troublesome. Frowning, Feng Zichen whispered. He withdrew his fist, took out Zichen's sword, and threw it toward the million-sword picture in the distance. Buzz! Zichen's sword fell into the million-sword picture and merged with it. Suddenly, the power of the million-sword picture skyrocketed. The shadows of the divine sword seemed to have condensed into substance, shining with amazing sharpness. They pulled Shihi, who had just broken out of the million-sword picture, back in. Just as Feng Zichen was dealing with Shihi, Kunpeng ancestor seized the opportunity. His body shook and turned into a giant Kun fish, breaking free from Feng Zichen's hands. The Kun fish roamed the sea of stars, and it was difficult to catch it again. My friend's body is far stronger than Poor Wei's. Next, Poor Wei will ask for your advice with divine power. Kunpeng ancestor pulled away from Feng Zichen and said with an ugly face. In this close combat, he was completely crushed by Feng Zichen. He lost miserably. Oh, I heard that you are a master of divine power. Then I'll have to learn from you. Kunpeng was obviously going to show his true ability. Even Feng Zichen could not help but be a little cautious. The power of a great divine power who intended to use divine power to fight against the heavens was definitely terrifying. Devour the heavens and earth. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge vortex appeared above Kunpeng's head. As soon as this vortex appeared, it emitted an aura that could swallow everything. Everything around Kunpeng was immediately swallowed by it. Even the starlight was distorted and turned into streams of light that were sucked into it. In an instant, Feng Zichen felt a huge suction force that tried to suck him into the vortex. Feng Zichen's face changed. His body suddenly turned illusory and merged with the void around him. This was one of the 36 great divine powers of the celestial constellation. Standing without shadow, it could be placed in the void. It was a supreme divine power that used the Tao of space. But unfortunately, this method was useless. After Feng Zichen placed himself in the void, the suction force did not disappear. Even the void that he placed himself in was pulled into the vortex. Then, Feng Zichen used the flying body trace to escape outside of time and space. But he could not get rid of the suction force. Obviously, Kunpeng's divine power had been refined to the point that it could even devour the void. My friend's divine power is really amazing. After praising, Feng Zichen immediately used the reversal of yin and yang, a supreme divine power. In an instant, heaven and earth were out of order. The sun and moon were out of order. Yin and yang were reversed. The secrets of heaven were completely chaotic. Feng Zichen's aura completely disappeared. He was clearly standing there, but there was no aura at all. It was as if he did not exist. The suction force passed through him, but it could not shake him at all. My friend, you must have cultivated the celestial constellation 36 transformations to an extremely high level. Otherwise, you would not have escaped the divine power of the Poor Wei. Kunpeng could not help but be amazed when he thought of how Feng Zichen had used several great divine powers in the blink of an eye. The celestial constellation 36 transformations was personally organized and compiled by the Tao ancestor. It was the general outline of the celestial sect's divine powers. There were many cultivators in the primordial world, but there were not many who had cultivated to the level of Feng Zichen. It was because it was too difficult. The 36 supreme divine powers represented 36 types of connate Tao. How could they be so easy to comprehend? Feng Zichen could cultivate it because of Hongmeng Daozhong. Others did not have the same treatment. My little tricks can't compare to yours, fellow Taoist. Fellow Taoist, Guan's divine power is quite similar to the northern underworld's ultimate void. Did you create it from observing the ultimate void? That aura of devouring the heavens and earth was very similar to the ultimate void. As the future master of the ultimate void, Feng Zichen could not be wrong. Kunping was born from the origin of Khanate Feng Shui. However, he did not cultivate the Khanate Feng Shui Dao, but the Dao of devouring. Who would believe that it had nothing to do with the ultimate void? After all, the ultimate void was in the northern underworld. As the master of the northern underworld, Feng Zichen did not believe that Kunping would not take a look at such a dangerous thing in his home. Fellow Taoist, you have good eyesight. This divine power was indeed created by the Poor Way's ultimate void. Now this is the first time it has appeared in the primordial world. I wanted to amaze everyone, but I did not expect to be thwarted by you. Seriously? Kunping looked at Feng Zichen and said with a constipated expression. This divine power was originally used by him to deal with Dijun and Tai Yi, but now it was forced out by Feng Zichen, and did not have any effect. Of course, he was extremely upset. Fellow Taoist, I've already seen your divine power. Next, it's time for you to see my divine power. After flattering Kunping for a while, Feng Zichen's face suddenly turned cold. He formed a seal with both hands and attacked Kunping. Clang! The great Dao furnace suddenly appeared and covered Kunping's head. Chapter 469. What kind of divine power is this? Seeing the great path furnace, Kunping was shocked. He had never seen such a divine power before. He didn't recognize the Dao patterns on it at all. He couldn't understand them at all. It was simply unheard of. However, the aura emitted by that tattoo was so vast and so deep that people couldn't help but be addicted. The truth it contained was even more vast than the heavenly path. This was a power that was above the heavenly path. Wasn't it? The great path was above the heavenly path. Feng Zichen's great divine power was not weak. It was his strongest divine power apart from the heaven-splitting inheritance. He was confident that he could kill a mighty figure at the early stage of Sage to be with this attack. However, Kunping didn't resist such an attack. Instead he chuckled. Hee. Fellow Taoist Zichen, no matter how strong your divine power is, what's the use if you can't hit the Poor Way? Patriarch Kunping's body swayed and disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was already outside the endless void. Dijiang's speed was the fastest in the untainted land, but Kunping's speed wasn't bad either. Dodge. Can you dodge? You know nothing about the power of the Great Path. Looking at Patriarch Kunping, Feng Zichen's eyes were very calm. He didn't take his words seriously. How could a Great Path divine power be so easy to dodge? The Great Path furnace rushed over, ignoring space and distance. No matter how Kunping dodged, he couldn't get rid of it. In his horrified eyes, the attack landed squarely on his body. Boom! In the explosion, Patriarch Kunping's body was directly blown up by the Great Path furnace. Of course, the Great Path furnace also shattered. The power to refine all things didn't have time to manifest. Otherwise, Kunping would have lost a layer of skin even if he didn't die. Alas! My understanding of the Great Path is still not deep enough. Looking at the broken Great Path furnace, Feng Zichen sighed. If he could imprint more demonic imprints on the body of the Great Path furnace, then this attack would not be as simple as the destruction of the Kunping's physical body. His shattered flesh and blood would definitely be absorbed and refined by the furnace of the Great Path. In this way, even if the Kunping could escape from the Great Dao furnace, its vitality would be greatly damaged. In the distance, bloody light flickered, covering the boundless starry sky. It was incomparably resplendent, even more resplendent than some stars. It was the broken body of the Kunping. A whirlpool quietly appeared and swallowed the flesh and blood. Then Ancestor Kunping walked out with a pale face. At their level, they were already immortal and indestructible. Not to mention the shattering of their physical bodies, even the shattering of their primordial spirits and indestructible true spirits would not take their lives. However, not dying didn't mean that he wouldn't be injured. Looking at Ancestor Kuanpeng's pale face, one could tell that he was heavily injured, but this was not the most troublesome thing. The most troublesome thing was the power of the Great Path that was left in his body when the furnace of the Great Path shattered. If this power was not removed in time, it would continue to destroy his physical body, and even his true spirit, thus affecting his strength. Of course, if the Kuanpeng could get rid of it, it would also gain some benefits. After all, that was the power of the Great Path. Its essence was extremely high, and it could give him a lot of inspiration. This was the disadvantage of not cultivating a Great Path divine power. If he could not kill with one blow, a good battle would very likely evolve into giving opportunities to the enemy. Fellow Taoist Zichen's divine power is really mysterious, far beyond the Poor Wei's imagination. If you and I were not enemies, the Poor Wei would definitely ask you for advice. After recovering his body, Ancestor Kuanpeng looked at Feng Zichen with a complicated expression. He wanted to learn this divine power. He also wanted to know the meaning of the Tao patterns inscribed on the divine power. However, Feng Zichen would never tell him, because they were enemies. However, the Kuanpeng still wanted to learn. For a person who focused on divine power, Feng Zichen's unknown and powerful divine power was like a pervert seeing a beauty. It deeply attracted him, making him unable to stop. Fellow Taoist Kuanpeng, do you still want to continue fighting? Feng Zichen looked at the Kuanpeng with some amusement and said, this kind of trump card was the foundation of his standing. How could he easily tell others about it? Not to mention that the two of them were enemies, he could not even tell friends. Only when they were close friends could they communicate with each other. No more fighting, no more fighting. Fellow Taoist's strength is unfathomable. The Poor Wei is far from your match. However, fellow Taoist Zichen, choosing the boundless starry sky as the battlefield is your biggest mistake. Suppressing the desire for knowledge in his heart, Ancestor Kuanpeng said with a smile. What? Hearing this, Feng Zichen was a little surprised. But soon, he understood what Ancestor Kuanpeng meant. Do it. With Ancestor Kuanpeng's order, the Zhousing floating in the boundless void suddenly shone brightly. Powerful demon gods walked out with the heavenly cycle star banner in their hands, and silently looked at Feng Zichen. In an instant, Feng Zichen was enveloped by the starlight. The heavenly cycle star formation. Looking at the formation that looked like a star formation around him, how could Feng Zichen not know that it was the demon clan's formation that trapped him? The heavenly cycle star formation. Of course, this was not the complete heavenly cycle star formation. Now that Dijun and Fuxi were not around, the sun star was unguarded, and the Zhousing had lost 9 stars. With the current strength of the demon clan, it was impossible to set up a complete heavenly cycle star formation. That's right. This formation is the demon clan's formation, the Zhousing formation. At this moment, Shiha's voice sounded. With the support of the heavenly cycle star formation, Shiha's strength increased greatly. She broke through the seal of the myriad sword painting and escaped. Feng Zichen waved his hand, and the myriad sword painting and the Zichen sword broke through the air and returned to his hand. Now that he was in the heavenly cycle star formation, it would be difficult for him to take back the treasures if he was not careful and was suppressed by the formation. It's just an incomplete formation. Do you think you can trap me? Looking at the confident Shiha and Kuanpeng, Feng Zichen said disdainfully, the complete heavenly cycle star formation could suppress even a saint. Of course he could not deal with it. However, the formation in front of him was a different story. He was the expert in the path of the stars. Can it work? Why don't you try and find out? Heavenly cycle star formation rise. Dijun and Tai were not around. As the master of the moon star, Shiha became the master of the Zhousing formation. At her command, the Zhousing formation shook. Endless star power fell and surged toward Feng Zichen. Boom, boom, boom. The Zhousing formation turned slowly and turned into a huge star, firmly suppressing Feng Zichen. At the same time, endless star power surged like a burning flame, trying to refine him. Ha! Small fry. Feng Zichen laughed and used the great path furnace to absorb and refine all the star power that surged toward him. Chapter 470. In the boundless starry sky, there were countless stars. Other than the 365 main stars, there were also billions of ancient stars. The heavenly cycle star formation used the 365 main stars as the eye of the formation to control the power of all the stars in the boundless starry sky, gathering all the power of the stars in one body. This was the reason why the demons did not fear the saints. However, the heavenly cycle star formation of the demons had a fatal weakness, and that was that the 365 main stars were not complete. He did not have the Emperor star. Without a main star, the Emperor star, which was not inferior to the sun and moon stars, the heavenly cycle star formation would not be perfect. The sun, moon, and star were the three treasures of heaven. The sun and moon. Naturally, they were referring to the sun and moon stars. The star was referring to the Emperor star. Without the Emperor star, the heavenly cycle star formation would not be able to perform the three treasures of heaven. It would lack many changes, and its power would be many times weaker. This was also the reason why the heavenly cycle star formation could not compete with the 12 divine beings' wraith formation. How could an incomplete formation compare to a complete formation? After Hutu had reincarnated, the 12 divine beings' wraith formation was incomplete, and the heavenly cycle star formation could be on par with it. Of course, this was not important. The important thing was that with this huge flaw, the heavenly cycle star formation could not do anything to Feng Zichen. He was the Emperor star, and in the heavenly cycle star formation, he had a great advantage. Therefore, after falling into the heavenly cycle star formation, Feng Zichen did not panic at all. He even had the leisure to observe the operating pattern of the Zhousing and use it to figure out the mystery of the demon clan's formation. After all, it was one of the top 3 formations in the primordial world. It gathered all the wisdom of the demon clan, as well as the principles of Zhousing. If he could gain something from it, it would benefit him for the rest of his life. Moreover, Feng Zichen was an expert in the Tao of the stars. By studying it, he could improve his understanding of the Tao of the stars. Just like this, Feng Zichen had the great path furnace above his head to resist the suppression of the heavenly cycle star formation, and he leisurely observed the formation. How dare you? Quick, strengthen the formation and refine him to death. Seeing Feng Zichen's leisurely manner, Shihi's pretty face immediately darkened, and she hurriedly ordered. Yes. The Yao gods replied in unison. Immediately after, they shook the heavenly cycle star streamers in their hands. He pushed Zhousing with all his might and pressed down on Feng Zichen. Rumble. In an instant, even more power of the stars surged over, and the pressure Feng Zichen faced instantly multiplied. The furnace of the great path creaked as if it couldn't bear the burden, as if it would break at any moment. The heavens are helping me. Seeing this, not only was Feng Zichen not surprised, but he was delighted. He calmed himself down, and his spiritual will crossed the layers of the void, connecting with the innate star tree that supported Zichen's heaven. Come. With a soft call, Feng Zichen opened a void passage, allowing the roots of the innate star tree to pass through and enter the furnace of the great path. The power of the stars was strong, but the innate star tree fed on the power of the stars, which was its nemesis. Thus, feeling the thick power of the stars in the furnace of the great path, the roots of the innate star tree trembled with excitement. Ever since the demon clan had occupied Zhousing, the innate star tree had not swallowed the power of the stars on a large scale in order to protect itself, for fear of being discovered by the demon clan. Now the power of the stars was swarming over. How could it not be excited? Whoosh! Without any hesitation, the roots of the innate star tree rushed toward the power of the stars in the sky like a hungry tiger pouncing on its prey. And the power of the stars that brought great pressure to Feng Zichen was like a little sheep when it saw the roots of the innate star tree. It was absorbed by the roots of the innate star tree without any resistance. With this help, the furnace of the great path, which was on the verge of collapse, suddenly stopped shaking, and its power increased greatly. No matter how much power of the stars surged over, it absorbed it all. It was very powerful. Good job. The more it absorbs, the faster it grows. Only by growing fast can it become stronger. In this way, it can better protect the human race. Looking at the roots of the innate star tree that were absorbing the power of the stars in the sky, Feng Zichen showed an excited expression. Previously, Feng Zichen was not sure whether the innate star tree could hide from the perception of the demon clan. But now his confidence had greatly increased. How powerful would the star power released by Zhouxing be? If the innate star tree absorbed it, it would definitely be able to take a step forward. In this way, the possibility of hiding from the demon clan would be greatly increased. Sigh. At the same time, Feng Zichen sighed in his heart. The innate star tree had been with him for so many years, and it had really suffered. It was his incompetence that caused the innate star tree to not absorb too much star power for so many years. Otherwise, with the support of Zhouxing, the innate star tree had long entered the mature stage. How great would it be if Zhouxing fell into my hands? Looking at Zhouxing in front of him, Feng Zichen said enviously. The boundless starry sky was the true treasure of the primitive world. In the blink of an eye, decades had passed. The demon clan experts gradually realized that something was wrong. What's going on? Why is it that after refining for so long, Feng Zichen is not dispirited, but getting more and more energetic? Kunping looked at Feng Zichen in the formation and asked curiously. After being refined by the cosmic star formation for so long, even a quasi-saint expert should have been refined to death. However, Feng Zichen was not even injured. This was a little strange. Even if he was stronger than a quasi-saint, it should not be like this. Oh no. I forgot that he has an innate spirit treasure of the void attribute. He must have used the power of that treasure to transfer the attack of the formation away. With a flash of thought, Kunping ancestor thought of the spirit treasure on Feng Zichen, and suddenly exclaimed. At the same time, Kunping ancestor's body also moved. He raised his hand and launched a magic attack at Feng Zichen. What a shrewd person Feng Zichen was. Hearing Kunping ancestor's cry, he knew that he had misunderstood. However, Feng Zichen did not explain. Instead, he cooperated and activated the Emperor's seal to isolate the void around him, so that Kunping ancestor's magic attack could not hit him. Whoosh! Kunping ancestor's magic attack disappeared when it was 3 feet away from Feng Zichen's body. As expected. Seeing this scene, Kunping ancestor was even more certain of his guess. Little thief, you are cunning. Seeing this scene, Shiha's face suddenly turned ugly. She shouted and waved her arms to draw the power of the lunar star to drive the cosmic star's formation. Suddenly, the formation changed again. As one of the top 3 formations in the untainted land, the cosmic star's formation was certainly not as simple as suppressing and refining. It was famous for its infinite power. Zhouxing spun wildly, and the power of the stars became restless, destroying the surrounding void. Shiha's purpose was very simple. Feng Zichen, didn't you use the void to protect yourself? Then I will destroy all the void and see what you can do. How did the demon race discover us so quickly? Sensing the changes around him, Feng Zichen said reluctantly. He was not worried about the cosmic star's formation, but simply felt that it was a pity. In these few decades, the Zhouxing tree had grown a lot, which was more than 1,000,000 years of growth in Zichen's cave. If given enough time, it might even enter the growth period. However, the demon clan had already realized that something was wrong. If it continued, the Khanate star tree would be exposed. It has been decades, and you only realized that something is wrong. How stupid! Feng Zichen said sarcastically as he used the Great Path Furnace to stabilize the void. Little thief, don't be arrogant. Today, I will show you the true power of the cosmic star's formation. No one would be happy to be mocked by an enemy, especially a woman who was about to go crazy. Shiha exploded on the spot. Soldiers set up the cosmic star's formation. Taking a step forward, Shiha walked to the lunar star and ordered coldly, Queen of Heaven's decree. Hearing this, the demon gods immediately took their positions and showed their huge dharma bodies, each of them sitting on the Zhouxing. Even Kunpeng. He also landed on a main star. At the same time, many demon gods separated from the celestial court and sat on the other ancient stars, operating the cosmic star's formation together. In an instant, the Zhouxing shook together, and a terrifying power erupted, sweeping across the boundless starry sky. Oh my God! The demon clan has too many Daoyuo Jingxian. Even though he knew that the demon clan had many Daoyuo Jingxian, Feng Zichen was still shocked when he saw it with his own eyes. In this short period of time, there were more than 1,000 Daoyuo Jingxian walking out of the celestial court. Even so, there were still Daoyuo Jingxian walking out of the celestial court one after another. F***ck. Even a half-step primordial chaos expert would probably be beaten to death. At this time, Feng Zichen was also a little panicked. Thousands of Daoyuo Jingxian, a few sages to be, and the power of the Zhouxing. Feng Zichen did not think that he could withstand it. Subconsciously, Feng Zichen prepared to use his magical power to break the seal of the cosmic stars formation and escape from the demon clan's encirclement. How can this be? As soon as he made his move, Feng Zichen realized that something was wrong. He could not feel any laws or the aura of the Tao of heaven and earth. He could not even feel the Kanei Qi. It was as if at this moment, the laws were hidden, the Tao of heaven and earth was hidden, and the Kanei Qi had disappeared without a trace. Except for himself, everything was gone. This was the power of the cosmic stars formation. It shielded the laws, expelled the Tao of heaven and earth, and wiped out the Kanei Qi. The Daoyuo Jinxian's strength was in mobilizing the power of heaven and earth. The cosmic stars formation isolated the power of heaven and earth, so that the enemy could only fight with their own strength. It was much easier to deal with them. No wonder the demon clan could not defeat the wizard clan. So that's why. At this time, Feng Zichen also understood why the demon clan had been at a disadvantage in the war with the wizard clan. The most powerful thing about the wizard clan was their physical body. Chapter 471. Without the power of heaven and earth, their bodies were still extremely powerful. As such, under the suppression of the massive heavenly cycle star formation, the combat power of the Grand Sorcerer was not much weaker. Of course, they were not afraid of the demon race. Coincidentally, Feng Zichen's dermic powers were strong, and his body was even stronger. You want to deal with me with this? You're delusional. With a long roar, Feng Zichen revealed his huge Pengu true form, and blasted towards the massive heavenly cycle star formation with unparalleled strength. Boom! Feng Zichen walked the path of Tao with strength, and was known for his powerful strength. He punched out, causing the void to explode and the stars to sway. However, the power of the massive heavenly cycle star formation was obviously stronger. Feng Zichen's punch was equivalent to stirring up a ripple in the formation, and did not have much of an effect. So powerful. Feng Zichen sighed as he retracted his fist. The massive heavenly cycle star formation was one of the top 3 connate formations in the primordial world. Even if it was not in its strongest state, it was not something that he could break with a single punch. Otherwise, this formation would be too weak. Humph. You want to break the massive heavenly cycle star formation by yourself? You're dreaming. Today, unless you can become a saint, this will be your death. On the lunar star, she has said confidently. Usually, this kind of formation was used by the demon race to deal with the sorcerer race. Now it was used to deal with a person. Unless that person was a saint, there was no way he could escape. Is that so? Feng Zichen did not deny it. Stubborn. Attack. Shiho was no longer interested in talking to Feng Zichen. In her eyes, Feng Zichen was already a dead man. There was no need to waste her breath on a dead man. Therefore, she took the lead and activated the lunar star to attack Feng Zichen. When the other demon gods saw this, they did not dare to delay and quickly attacked. Feng Zichen was not in a hurry. The heavenly cycle star formation might be able to trap everyone in the primordial world, but it could not trap him. Even if Di Jun personally presided over the heavenly cycle star formation, it wouldn't be enough. Because he was the emperor of the North Star. Now he could escape from the demon clan's encirclement through the emperor star at any time, and the demon clan would not even be able to find him. But in that case, there was a possibility that his relationship with the emperor star would be exposed. Therefore, Feng Zichen did not intend to use the power of the emperor star to break the array. He intended to break the array by force. Previously, the 9 Zhouxing that he had liberated were the key to breaking the array. Due to the lack of time, The fiend race did not have the time to regain control of the 9 Zhoshing that had escaped their control. They also did not have the time to refine the cyclic astral banner. This caused a fatal flaw to appear in the great heavenly cycle star formation. The place where the 9 Zhoshing beads were located was the weakest part of the formation. Sword. With the sound of a sword, hundreds of millions of sword lights appeared, forming the figure of the Zichin sword. At the same time, the myriad sword illustration also appeared, slowly opening in the air, and then enveloping the Zichin sword. Buzz. A sharp sword hum suddenly sounded in the boundless starry sky. The power of the Zichin sword suddenly soared. When 2 supreme-grade Khanate spirit treasures were combined, even if its power was not as strong as a Khanate cardinal treasure, it was still far stronger than other Khanate spirit treasures. Moreover, the Zichin sword and the myriad sword illustration were both sword Dao cardinal treasures. With the support of the Khanate sword Dao, its power was even stronger. In Feng Zichin's mind, the image of Pangu splitting open the sky slowly appeared. Streaks of heaven-splitting Dao runes flowed out of his body, evolving into the Dao shadow of Pangu, splitting open the sky. Raising the Zichin sword, Feng Zichin aimed at the weakness of the great heavenly cycle star formation, and swung his sword. Bam! Behind Feng Zichin, the Pangu Dao shadow quietly shattered, turning into countless light spots that merged into the Zichin sword and slashed out together with the sword light. Chi, wherever the sword light passed, it was as if it was splitting open the sky and earth. The void slowly opened up, and earth, fire, water, and wind surged. Yin-yang, and the 5 elements appeared, and endless Dao laws were born. The power of the world opening rolled out, violently slashing at the weak point of the great heavenly cycle star formation. Crack. At the place where Feng Zichin's sword light slashed, a small world gradually formed, forcibly opening up a gap in the Zhoshing formation. Rumble. After being attacked, the great heavenly cycle star formation automatically activated, mobilizing endless star power to suppress the small world. In an instant, the small world was crushed, and the gap was closed. But that was enough. In that short moment, Feng Zichin seized the opportunity and turned into a stream of light, rushing out of the great heavenly cycle star formation. Kill. Seeing this, the demon gods were furious. Without needing Shiha's order, they activated the great heavenly cycle star formation to attack Feng Zichin. In an instant, billions of starlight burst out, illuminating the boundless starry sky. When Feng Zichin saw this, he did not dare to take it. His figure flashed and he dodged to the side. But the starlight was endless. No matter where he hid, starlight would shoot at him. You forced me to do this. With a thought, Feng Zichin looked back at the great heavenly cycle star formation and ran toward the 9 Zhoshing stars that were out of the demon race's control. Kill. At that moment, the demon race's second round of attack arrived. An endless starlight burst out again. Feng Zichin slashed with his sword, and the 3 powers of heaven, earth, and man surged out, colliding with the starlight. Boom. The 3 powers of heaven and earth were shattered by the starlight, and the remaining power blasted Feng Zichin, sending him flying far away. With this help, Feng Zichin arrived on one of the 9 stars. After looking up and down for a moment, Feng Zichin recognized this star. Its name was Mars, also known as Mars, and it was one of the 7 planets. Among the 365 primitive planets, its position was second only to the Sun, Moon, and Star, and it was one of the top 10 planets in the primitive universe. No wonder the great heavenly cycle star formation is so weak. It's because it lost Mars. At that moment, Feng Zichin also understood why the powerful great heavenly cycle star formation was broken by him in one move. After losing such a powerful primary planet, who knew how much power the great heavenly cycle star formation had left? This was not a matter of 1-365 but 10. At that moment, the demon race's third attack was ready to be launched. But this time, Feng Zichin did not dodge. He stood on Mars without even opening up his defenses. He just looked at the great heavenly cycle star formation from afar, not dodging or hiding. Even so, the demon race's attack did not land even after a long time. Shameless. Feng Zichin, you're a famous person in the primitive universe. How could you do this? After a while, the Kurenpung poked its head out of the great heavenly cycle star formation and cursed at Feng Zichen. Feng Zichen stood on Mars. If the demon race used all their power to attack him with the great heavenly cycle star formation, they could seriously injure or even kill him. But if that happened, Mars would not be saved. It would definitely be shattered by the great heavenly cycle star formation like Feng Zichen. Unlike the Sun, Moon, and Purple Star, Mars was at least as powerful as a saint, and no one could destroy it. At best, Mars could match a half-step primordial chaos expert, and could not withstand the great heavenly cycle star formation's attack. That was why the demon race could not attack Feng Zichen now, lest Mars be implicated. Mars was the prime star of the primitive universe, and one of the keys to the great heavenly cycle star formation. Destroying it would not only infuriate the heavenly Tao, but it would also send down heavenly punishment. Even if the great heavenly cycle star formation was incomplete and its power decreased, it was a price the demon race could not bear. Without the great heavenly cycle star formation, what could the demon race use to fight the witch race? That was the idea Feng Zichen came up with. With Mars as a shield, the demon race would not dare to touch it. Shameless. You call that shameless? Didn't I learn that from you, fellow Taoist? Feng Zichen laughed softly, his face full of mockery. Previously, the Kurenpung patriarch had threatened him with the life and death of the human race. Now he was giving them a taste of their own medicine, using the safety of Mars to keep the demons wary of taking action. Wasn't that a perfect example of the saying, "What goes around comes around"? How can the human race compare to Mars? The Kurenpung was anxious when it heard that, and almost roared. If the human race was gone, it could be rebuilt. If Mars was gone, it would be difficult to restore it. Haha. Feng Zichen could only sneer at that. Don't worry about it. Trap it here first, and wait for His Majesty to come out of seclusion before we deal with it. At that moment, Shiha suddenly said. Feng Zichen had Mars as a shield, and it was impossible to kill it. The only way was to trap it here and wait for Dijun to come out of seclusion to deal with it. Yes. Although everyone was unwilling, they knew that this was the only way and could only agree helplessly. The demon race's idea was good, but Feng Zichen would not sit still and wait for death. When Dijun came out of seclusion, Feng Zichen would not have the confidence to escape. Therefore, he had to leave now. Not only did he have to leave, but he also had to leave an unforgettable lesson for the demon race. Seal me? I'm afraid you can't do that. After saying that, Feng Zichen formed a seal with his hands, mobilized all the dermic powers in his body, and used the Supreme Divine Ability Star Shift. This was one of the top 3 Supreme Divine Abilities in the Big Dipper 36 transformations, and it had the power to shift the stars and reverse time. Move the stars, shift the stars. A terrifying wave surged out of Feng Zichen's body and spread throughout the boundless starry sky. Immediately, Mars under his feet and the other 8 primeval main stars that were out of the demon race's control formed a line and crashed toward the massive heavenly cycle star formation. Feng Zichen, are you crazy? Seeing the 9 primeval main stars crash toward them, the demon gods in the massive heavenly cycle star formation could not help but change their expressions and shout anxiously. At the same time, they were also anxiously moving the primeval main stars under their control, afraid that they would collide with the 9 stars that were charging toward them. These demon gods did not know if anything would happen if the main stars collided, but they knew that something would happen to them. The power that would erupt when the main stars collided would definitely shake them into dust and completely destroy them. Crazy. Just take it that I'm crazy. Previously, being chased and beaten by the demon race, Feng Zichen was already full of anger. Now that the situation had been turned around with great difficulty, he naturally wanted to get back at them. Crash. Hit him hard. Controlling the 9 main stars, Feng Zichen said fiercely. Chapter 472. Rumble. In the boundless starry sky, 9 huge main stars rampaged, forcing the other main stars to retreat. The entire boundless starry sky was in a mess. However, if they kept defending, they would definitely lose. The demon clan controlled the main stars to dodge left and right, and eventually, they would lose. Bang! A loud sound that shocked the entire primordial world was heard. Then, a bright light erupted, almost covering the radiance of the sun and moon. It was a main star that could not dodge in time, and collided with the main star that was charging over. The demon god on it did not even have time to scream before he was shattered into pieces by the huge force. Even the innate true spirit did not have time to escape. A demon god had fallen. Although Daluo Jinxian was immortal and indestructible, it would still take time to resurrect. This was especially true when the innate true spirit perished together with the innate true spirit. The time needed to complete the process was even longer. Dodge. Dodge. Seeing the fate of this demon god, the other demon gods did not dare to let their main stars get close. They hurriedly controlled their main stars to escape into the distance, afraid that they would follow in the footsteps of that person. Bang 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 bang. The collision just now was just the beginning. In the following period of time, another 9 main stars of the primordial world were hit by the main stars controlled by Fengzichen. The demon gods on them naturally died along with them. The consequences of this were also very serious. In order to avoid the collision of the main stars, the demon gods fled with the primordial world main stars in the boundless starry sky. The star rules were completely messed up, and it was difficult for them to maintain the heavenly cycle star formation. Therefore, when the formation was broken, the demon gods on it suffered a backlash and were all seriously injured. However, for Daluo Jinxian, as long as they did not die, it did not matter whether they were injured or not. However, today they had lost all their face. More than 1,000 Daluo Jinxian of the demon clan, together with several quasi-saints, had set up the heavenly cycle star formation together to deal with a human. Not only did they not kill him, but he also broke out of the formation. This was simply throwing the face of the demon clan to the ground and trampling on it. Of course, the demon clan had paid such a huge price. Fengzichen was not without losses. The 9 main stars of the primordial world were completely out of his control. Kill. We must kill him. Even if we have to use all the power of the demon clan, we must kill him. At this time, Shiha was already a little hysterical. He had never suffered such humiliation in his life. If they did not kill Fengzichen, it would become a stain on the Yao clan's history. Even if the demons defeated the Magi in the future, and became the rulers of the primordial world, they would not be able to wash away the humiliation they had suffered today. As long as Fengzichen did not die, the demon race would always bear this humiliation. Therefore, Fengzichen must die. Shame. He could only bathe them in blood. At this moment, the strong demon race was thoroughly enraged. The entire heaven court was activated as one after another powerful demon gods walked out of the void and surrounded Fengzichen tightly. With a cursory glance, Fengzichen discovered that there were more than 3,000 demon gods surrounding him, including the 1,000 demon gods from before. It could be said that more than half of the demon race's strength had been unleashed. This was a treatment that could only be enjoyed when the Magi attacked. Now Fengzichen felt it. However, there were many Magi. As for Fengzichen, he was alone. Oh my, this seems to be getting out of hand. Silently activating the human emperor's seal to protect himself, Fengzichen carefully looked around, looking for an escape route. Being besieged by more than 3,000 Daluo Jinxian was not a very pleasant thing. Fellow Taoists, stay. However, before Fengzichen could take action, the 3,000 demon gods moved with the leisurely voice of the Kuanping ancestor. They all used their magic and attacked Fengzichen. Damn it! After cursing, Fengzichen raised the 5 Emperors' canopy and used the human Emperor's seal to move the attacking magic to another place. However, the power of the 3,000 demon gods was too strong. In addition, Fengzichen had scruples in his heart, so he did not dare to use the full power of the human Emperor's seal. He only kept it at the limit of a supreme-grade Khanate spirit treasure. As a result, Fengzichen did not move all the attacking magic away. He only moved a part of it, about half of it. Puff. The remaining half of the power directly shattered the 5 Emperors' canopy and hit Fengzichen, making him vomit blood. The other half of the power that was moved away hit a main star in the distance, destroying all the arrangements of the demon race on it. Another main star of the untainted land was liberated by Feng Zichen. And the name of this main star of the untainted land was the Big Dipper star, one of the 36 Big Dipper stars. The Big Dipper star was liberated, and the elites of the demon race who were far away were immediately affected. It was difficult for them to establish contact with the Big Dipper star, and the Big Dipper formation was broken. No, in the puzzled eyes of the elites of the demon race, the Khanate Qi surged like a tide, drowning and refining them. Fellow Taoist, you are really magnanimous. At the moment of life and death, you still don't forget to weaken the strength of the demon race. The demon gods present completely ignored the abnormality of the main star. They only wanted to kill Feng Zichen. As long as he died, everything would return to normal. I am the great Taoist priests. Who can kill me in the untainted land? Feng Zichen said proudly as he placed the great Tao furnace above his head. He was not bragging. With this little strength, he really could not be killed. Although the attacks of the 3,000 demon gods were strong, they could only injure him, not kill him. If they wanted to kill him, they could only use the strength of the primordial chaos level. Otherwise, in his current state, he would be injured but not dead. Moreover, Feng Zichen still had many trump cards that he had not used. It was still unknown who would win and who would lose. In the blink of an eye, Feng Zichen had already exchanged more than 10 blows with the 3,000 demon gods. His physical body was almost shattered. His body was covered in wounds and dripping with blood. He looked extremely miserable. The demon race did not fare well either. More than 10 main stars of the untainted land were liberated by Feng Zichen. Bastard! Nearly 30 main stars of the untainted land were out of the control of the demon race. Finally, Dijun, who was in seclusion, was alarmed. A terrifying aura suddenly rose from the sun star. Then, a handsome man in a golden emperor robe walked out from the sun star and walked toward Feng Zichen. Dijun? Seeing this figure, Feng Zichen was a little puzzled. Although the person in front of him looked exactly the same as Dijun, the aura on his body was completely different. Dijun's body was filled with boundless domineering aura, and the Dijun in front of him, although also domineering, was more ferocious. Also, his cultivation was not right. Dijun was a half-step primordial chaos existence, but this person's cultivation was at the perfected sage to be. Feng Zichen. Feng Zichen was puzzled, but Dijun was not. He knew what had happened with a glance and reached out to grab him. It's really Dijun. Sensing this familiar aura, Feng Zichen confirmed that the person in front of him was Dijun. Although he did not know why Dijun's cultivation had regressed, it was obvious that he could not stay in the boundless starry sky. Chapter 473. Otherwise, it would really be dangerous. However, Feng Zichen was a little unwilling to leave just like that. The losses of the demon clan seemed to be great. But in fact, there weren't many at all. Although the 27 main stars of the desolate world had temporarily escaped from the control of the demon clan under his plan, the main stars of the desolate world could not leave the boundless starry sky. Sooner or later, they would be controlled by the demon clan again. In short, such a loss would at most make the demon clan lose some face and waste some heavenly materials and earthly treasures. It was really nothing. On the other hand, the death of the 18 demon gods could make the demon clan feel pain. However, it was only a pain. Compared to the 4,000 demon gods of the demon clan, the death of a mere 18 demon gods was indeed not a big deal. Today, the greatest loss of the demon clan was that they had completely lost face in the desolate world. Everything else was not big. How could Feng Zichen be satisfied with such an outcome? Therefore, he planned to take some things from the demon clan before he left to relieve the hatred in his heart. Greetings, Your Majesty. With the appearance of Dijun, the surrounding demon gods seemed to have found their backbone. They gathered behind him and bowed. However, Dijun did not pay attention to them. Instead, he frowned and stared at Feng Zichen. Feng Zichen, I really underestimated you. I didn't expect you to dare to kill your way into the boundless starry sky alone. How dare you? To be honest, when he saw Feng Zichen causing havoc in the boundless starry sky, Dijun was really shocked. He dared to kill his way into the demon clan alone. How brave was that? Even the ancestral shaman did not dare to come alone. But Feng Zichen dared to. Just this courage alone was worth looking at him in a different light. After today, Feng Zichen's reputation in the desolate world would be even more resounding. Sun Wukong's name could shake the three realms when he wreaked havoc in the heavenly palace. Feng Zichen was much stronger than Sun Wukong when he fought the demon clan alone. His reputation would definitely spread even more. Your Majesty, you flatter me. Didn't you force me to do this? Feng Zichen replied nonchalantly in the face of the demon race's formation. Who would want to wreak havoc in the heavenly palace for no reason? Weren't they forced into a corner? What a sharp tongue. Now that I've come out of seclusion, I'll personally capture you. Have you thought about how you're going to escape? Dijun snorted coldly and said in a cold voice. The cause of this matter was not important. What was important was the result. The demon race had completely lost face. Only Feng Zichen's blood could wash away the shame. Escape? Haha. Why should I run? After hearing Dijun's words, Feng Zichen laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. When he first saw Dijun, Feng Zichen was indeed a little flustered. After all, Dijun had dominated the untainted land for so many years that his fame had long been deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. However, after this conversation, Feng Zichen was completely relaxed. He was so nervous just now that he did not realize that the Dijun in front of him was not his original body, but one of his three corpses. Yes, Dijun's original body had not come out of seclusion. Now the one in front of Feng Zichen was Dijun's evil corpse. This was reassuring. The strength of the three corpses would always be weaker than the original body. In other words, the evil corpse of Dijun in front of him was no match for Feng Zichen. In this case, what was he afraid of? You're courting death. Seeing Feng Zichen's arrogant look, the evil corpse of Dijun's face turned cold. He drew out a sword and slashed at Feng Zichen. Using a sword to deal with me? Your Majesty, have you forgotten that I'm the sword ancestor of the untainted land? No sword in the world can hurt me. The evil corpse of Dijun's sword light slashed over, but Feng Zichen did not even look at it, nor did he resist. He completely treated it as if it did not exist. Sure enough, when the sword light was 10 feet away from Feng Zichen, it suddenly dissipated without the slightest ripple. The sword ancestor, the ancestor of the innate sword Tao. No divine sword in the world could hurt him. Of course, this was not absolute. This condition was only for those who were lower than Feng Zichen's realm. Those who were higher than him could ignore this restriction. But even so, any sword move that attacked him would automatically be weakened by 30%. The evil corpse of Dijun's strength was slightly weaker than Feng Zichen's, so he naturally could not hurt him. Pure Yang Gourd kill. Seeing that the sword technique was useless, the evil corpse of Dijun waved his sleeve and threw out a yellow-skinned gourd. He spat out boundless pure yang true fire at Feng Zichen. This was the spiritual treasure of Dongwang Gongdong, the superior grade innate spiritual treasure of the pure yang gourd. He was very fond of it and had always worn it at his waist. Unfortunately, after he died, this innate spiritual treasure became Dijun's. Small matter. Feng Zichen shook the million sword painting, and billions of pure Yin sword chi surged out and extinguished the pure yang true fire. Then he drew out Zichen's sword and slashed at Dijun. It was not his style to be passive and take a beating. In the boundless starry sky, I am an invincible existence. It is unwise to choose this place to fight with me. Seeing Feng Zichen attack, Dijun shook his head and laughed. He was the lord of the sun star, the ruler of Zhousing. In the boundless starry sky, he could mobilize the power of all the stars. Even saints dared to fight with him. Star web. Dijun stretched out his hand and pointed at Feng Zichen. Suddenly, Zhousing shone brightly. Rays of starlight fell and weaved into a huge star web in the void, covering Feng Zichen. Your Majesty! This star web can't stop me. Looking at the star web that was covering him, Feng Zichen suddenly smiled mysteriously and said to Dijun, "What?" Dijun suddenly had a bad premonition. Then, a four-legged square cauldron flew out of Feng Zichen's body. Boom. With the appearance of the square cauldron, an aura that could suppress the universe burst out and swept across the boundless starry sky. In an instant, all the stars in the sky shook and were fixed in place. The huge net of stars that covered Feng Zichen also stopped moving at the same time. Connate Cardinal Treasure, the cauldron of heaven and earth. Looking at the four-legged square cauldron in Feng Zichen's hand, Dijun's face became extremely ugly. He almost gritted his teeth as he said the name of the treasure. Yes, this four-legged square cauldron was the Connate Cardinal Treasure in Yua's hand, the cauldron of heaven and earth. Back in Jinxiu Heaven, Feng Zichen had borrowed this treasure from Yua to refine a weapon. However, after the Dharma treasure was refined, Yua didn't take back the cauldron of heaven and earth. Of course, Feng Zichen wouldn't foolishly take the initiative to return it. Instead, he kept this treasure. If Yua didn't mention it, he would pretend that he had completely forgotten about it. Therefore, this Connate Cardinal Treasure, the cauldron of heaven and earth, was left in Feng Zichen's hands. This was where Feng Zichen's confidence came from alone, to fight against the demon clan. Haha. Your Majesty, how about another move of mine? Laughing loudly, Feng Zichen controlled the cauldron of heaven and earth and blasted it towards Dijun. Oh no! Sensing the aura that suppressed all things in the universe, Dijun's expression changed. He hurriedly mobilized the power of the sun star to protect himself. At the same time, he was also mobilizing the power of the moon star. Together with Dijun, they stood together to resist the suppression of the cauldron of heaven and earth. At this moment, a strange scene appeared in the boundless starry sky. The sun star and the moon star shone together, displaying the changes of Connate Yin and Yang, and displaying supreme power. The combination of the sun star and the moon star was the supreme achievement of the Connate Yin and Yang Dao. He just didn't know if the Connate Cardinal Treasure Tai Chi diagram's power could reach this level if it was fully unleashed. Although the cauldron of heaven and earth was powerful, firstly, it was not Feng Zichen's magic treasure. Secondly, Feng Zichen's strength was far inferior to Yua's. Therefore, under the protection of the sun star and the moon star, Feng Zichen's cauldron of heaven and earth could not break Dijun and Shihi's defense. But fortunately, Feng Zichen's target was not them. On the way to crash into Dijun, the cauldron of heaven and earth suddenly changed direction and hit the sun-moon wheel above Shihi's head. That's right, the sun-moon wheel was Feng Zichen's real target. With the appearance of Dijun, the result of this battle was destined. If they continued to fight, Feng Zichen would definitely lose and even be in danger of dying. Therefore, he decided to leave. This was his last attack before leaving. His purpose was not to hurt Dijun, but to disgust him. Feng Zichen wanted to take advantage of the opportunity when Dijun and Shihi were defending with all their strength to use the cauldron of heaven and earth to grab the sun-moon wheel, and then run away. Could it be? No. Seeing the cauldron of heaven and earth bypassing him and flying in the direction of the sun-moon wheel, Dijun's mind was shocked, and he vaguely understood Feng Zichen's purpose. But at this moment, it was too late to say anything. After the cauldron of heaven and earth flew to the side of the sun-moon wheel, it suddenly opened the lid. Then, a huge suction came from the mouth of the cauldron and sucked the sun-moon wheel in. Haha. There are still important things for me to deal with in the human clan. Zichen will not disturb your majesty here. I'll take my leave first. Seeing that the sun-moon wheel was in his hand, Feng Zichen immediately called back the cauldron of heaven and earth, blasted open a void passage and ran to the untainted land without looking back. If he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to. If the sun-moon wheel was lost, Dijun would be furious and come out to catch him in person. Then it would be really dangerous. Boom. Sure enough, as soon as Feng Zichen opened the void passage, he saw a huge handprint flying out of the sun star and blasted towards him from afar. Go. The aura emitted by the handprint was so horrible that it had begun to distort the concept. It was infinitely close to the primordial chaos Daluo Jingxian. Feng Zichen didn't dare to take it directly. He directly hid in the cauldron of heaven and earth and frantically fled to the untainted land. As long as he fled there, he would be safe. Die. Under the pressure of the handprint, the void passage opened by Feng Zichen was broken. The cauldron of heaven and earth also appeared, and was hit hard by the handprint. Unfortunately, the cauldron of heaven and earth was a primordial treasure. No matter how strong Dijun was, he couldn't break it. Instead of hurting Feng Zichen, his attack would speed up his escape to the untainted land. Bang! After being hit hard, the cauldron of heaven and earth first made a bang. Then, under the effect of the huge shock, it fell to the untainted land at an extremely fast speed. Well, the cauldron of heaven and earth was fine. But Feng Zichen, who was seriously injured inside, was shocked and dizzy, and his injury was even worse. Chapter 474. Feng Zichen. An angry voice suddenly came from the sun star. Like thunder, it resounded throughout the untainted land, making people fearful. It was Dijun's voice. It was not difficult to tell how angry the owner of the voice was from the crazy voice. How could he not be angry? The sun-moon wheel was a wedding gift from the sun star and the moon star to Dijun and Shihi. It had a special meaning. Its power might not be the strongest among supreme-grade Khanate spiritual treasures, but the Khanate providence it possessed was one of the best. The sun-moon wheel was a wedding gift from the sun star and the moon star, with their best blessings. In other words, the sun-moon wheel was born with a trace of luck from the sun star and the moon star. This was the most precious part of the sun-moon wheel. The owner of this treasure would not be punished. The war of liches and demons was so terrible that Dijun and the 12 ancestral sorcerers were all killed. However, Shihi survived. This was the effect of the sun and moon wheel. So, how could Dijun not be angry? Pass down the order. The demon clan will mobilize all their troops to destroy the human clan. After all, Dijun was the Sky Emperor. He quickly calmed down and responded. The sun-moon wheel was too important. No matter what, they had to get it back. Feng Zichen cared most about the human clan. As long as the human clan was used as a threat, he would definitely fight to the death. At that time, it would be the best time to get back the sun-moon wheel. Yes. Hearing this, the demon gods bowed and accepted the order without hesitation. No one asked about the Wu clan. If the demon clan entered the untainted land, the Wu clan would definitely send troops to stop them. A war would definitely break out between the two clans. But these were not important. His Majesty had ordered to destroy the human clan. They just had to do it. Anyone who dared to stop them would be crushed one by one. What was there to fear about the Wu clan? Even if the demon clan and the Wu clan fought, they were still invincible in the untainted land. It would be easy for them to destroy the human clan. Dijun ordered the demon gods to move together. Troops were assembled and ready to go to the untainted land at any time. Let's treat this battle as a rehearsal for the final battle between the liches and demons. Looking at the untainted land, Dijun's expression became somewhat solemn. He was not worried about the wizard race. As long as he did not enter the untainted land, the ancestral sorcerer would not make a move. The remaining sorcerer tribesmen were evenly matched opponents to the demon race army. This was a battle between those below the quasi-sage realm. It was all up to them to decide who would win or lose. As for the human race, he didn't care about it at all. If the entire demon race army was mobilized, they could easily find an opportunity to wipe out the human race. After all, the Fey race had 4,000 Fey gods. Just a few hundred of them were not something the human race could contend against. Soon, everything will be over soon. The war between liches that has lasted for countless years is about to come to an end. After taking another look at the untainted land, Dijun calmed down and continued his closed-door training. He had already grasped the meridian of primordial chaos Daluo Jinxian, and was about to break through. There was no time to delay. Today, unless Feng Zichen caused too much trouble, he would not appear. When I attain the Tao, the day of the wizard race's destruction will not be far away. Cough cough. Dijun's attack was a little ruthless. After climbing out of the cauldron of heaven and earth, Feng Zichen checked his body and sighed. His body was almost destroyed by Dijun's attack. Not only were all the bones in his body broken, but there was also the power of the sun entrenched in the wound, preventing his body from healing itself. Although Feng Zichen could get rid of this power with his strength, it would take too much time. It would probably take thousands of years. He didn't know how many things would be delayed. However, Feng Zichen soon thought of a way to quickly recover. That was dual cultivation. Chang Yi was the Khanate moon god, one of the best in the path of Yin. If he dual cultivated with her, he would definitely be able to recover quickly. In the human emperor's bedroom, Chang Yi sat on a chair with a dazed look on her face. No one knew what she was thinking. She didn't even notice Feng Zichen walking in. "Ah, husband, you're back." It wasn't until Feng Zichen came to her side that Chang Yi reacted and looked at him with a complicated expression. However, Feng Zichen was now full of thoughts about how Di Jun would retaliate against her, so he didn't notice Chang Yi's abnormality. "Yes, I'm back." After responding casually, Feng Zichen took out the sun-moon wheel and handed it to Chang Yi. "I've got a new Khanate spiritual treasure, which is very suitable for you. See if you like it." The sun-moon wheel was a Khanate spiritual treasure bred by the moon star and the sun star. It couldn't be used by people who weren't born from the sun and the moon. As the Khanate moon god, Chang Yi was the most suitable to use this treasure. As for the imprint of Shi He on the sun-moon wheel, Feng Zichen had already erased it. The chaos bead, the cauldron of heaven and earth, plus the Hongmeng Daozhong, could even be refined to death by Shi He, not to mention the imprint he left on the treasure. Buzz. Without needing Chang Yi to do anything, the moonwheel took the initiative to throw itself into her arms and automatically recognized her as its master. As the moonwheel moved, the sun-moon wheel that matched it also reluctantly recognized Chang Yi as its master. "This? Thank you, husband. I like it very much." Looking at the moon wheel that was constantly flying around her, Chang Yi was very happy. "I'm glad you like it." Ahem. As he spoke, Feng Zichen coughed again. "Husband, you're injured." At this time Chang Yi found that Feng Zichen was injured. She quickly walked to his side and checked his injuries. What a strong power of the sun. Sensing the power of the sun in Feng Zichen's body, Chang Yi's face changed. Without waiting for him to speak, she held his hand and tried to remove the power of the sun in his body by running the Sutra of Tai Yin. After that, everything fell into place. The two of them hugged each other naturally. Yin and Yang coexisted, deducing the power of creation. The power of the sun in Feng Zichen's body was completely refined. All kinds of insights about the Tao of the sun came to his mind. It gave him a deeper understanding of the Tao of the sun. In the boundless starry sky, the demon clan army had been assembled. Under the leadership of a group of demon gods, they drove huge battleships toward the untainted land. As far as the eye could see, the battleships were densely packed. There were as many as 10,000 battleships. And on each battleship, there were 10,000 demon clan soldiers. 10,000 battleships, 10,000 demon clan soldiers on each battleship. Together, there were 100 million demon clan soldiers. They were all half-step Daoyuo Jingxian. If they were given enough time, they might be able to take half a step closer and become the real Daoyuo Jingxian. These were the foundation of the demon clan, and also the elites of the demon clan. They were the elites selected from the billions of demon clansmen. The battle flag waved, and the huge battleships flew across the sky. The drums were like thunder. From afar it was a black mass like dark clouds. At this moment, as long as all living beings in the untainted land raised their heads, they could see the divine appearance of the demon clan army. However, the demon clan army came aggressively, but they did not achieve the desired effect. This was because they were intercepted on the way. It was the witch clan. It was difficult for the witch clan not to notice the demon clan's huge lineup. Therefore they came and stopped the demon clan in midair, preventing them from entering the untainted land. No matter what the demon clan's purpose was, as long as the demon clan wanted to do something, they would definitely destroy it. Besides, the untainted land was the territory of the witch clan. It was not a place where the demon clan could come and go as they pleased. "We are here on the orders of the heavenly emperor to attack the human clan. It has nothing to do with the witch clan. Please get out of the way." Baizé walked forward and said. As the leader of the 10 great demon gods, Baizé was the number one of the 4,000 demon gods of the demon clan. He was the commander of this expedition, and he was the one who coordinated everything. According to his plan, in this great war between humans and demons, He would try his best not to fight with the witch clan. Quickly destroying the human clan was the right thing to do. Destroy the human clan? It has nothing to do with the witch clan? I've long heard that Baizé is the sage of the demon clan. Now it seems that he's just SOSO. Everyone in the untainted land knows that the human emperor of the human clan is the witch clan. Your demon clan wants to destroy the witch clan, and you still say that it has nothing to do with the witch clan. Are you a fool? After hearing Baizé's words, the great witch Xiang Lu could not help but mock him. Xiang Lu was also a Khanate great witch and had a high status in the witch clan. He was the subordinate of the ancestor of Wood, Go Mang, and his status in the Go Mang tribe was second only to the ancestor of Go Mang. His words basically represented the intentions of the witch clan. Bastard! Baizé's face turned green with anger. It had been many years since he had been humiliated like this. He just did not want to engage in a fearless battle with the witch clan at this moment. It was not that he was afraid of the witch clan. Since the witch clan wanted to fight, then let's fight. Kill. Baizé didn't waste his breath and ordered coldly. Immediately, more than 4,000 demon gods flew out of the warship and charged towards the witch clan. The witch clan did not dare to show weakness. Without any orders, 4,000 great witches soared into the sky and faced the demon gods of the demon clan. The number of Daluo Jingxian between the witch clan and the demon clan was basically equal. The demon clan had many clansmen and a large base. Therefore, 4,000 Daluo demon gods could be born. As for the witch clan, although they had few clansmen, they had good talent. As the blood descendants left behind by Pangu, the talent of the witch clan could be said to be the best in the primordial world apart from the Khanate godfiends. This point, no other clan could compare to it. However, the number of Daluo Jingxian was equal. But the demon clan did have a lot of advantages over the cultivators below. It was almost tens of thousands of times more than the witch clan. These two clans that dominated the primordial world could be said to be two extremes. One with quantity, and the other one with quality. It was hard to say who was good and who was bad. It could only be said that each had its advantages and disadvantages. After countless years of war, the witch clan and the demon clan had long accumulated a deep blood feud that could not be forgotten. Both parties wished that they could destroy each other completely. As soon as they met, there was no need for words to provoke each other. They would directly fight to the death. Therefore, this great war between the witch clan and the demon clan was a life and death battle the moment it broke out. The battle was abnormally tragic, and the entire void was shattered. The previous battle between humans and demons was like playing house in front of this battle. Chapter 475. Fortunately, this battle took place at the boundary between the heavens and the earth. Otherwise, it would cause unimaginable damage to the eldritch world. The demon race has sent reinforcements so quickly? Or did they send out their entire army? In the human race, Feng Zichen suddenly raised his head and said in surprise. Although Feng Zichen knew that Emperor Jun would take revenge on him, he did not expect that the demon tribe would act so quickly and almost turn out in full force. Was it necessary to deal with a mere human? It seems that Di Jun is quite angry. Looking at the demon race army in the sky, Feng Zichen was not worried. Instead, he was happy. The last thing he was afraid of was the demon race's entire army. If the demon race came in batches to destroy the human race, it would be troublesome. Make a scene, make a scene. The bigger the scene, the better. The more demon race people came, the more the sorcerer race would treat it seriously. Now that the human race had mobilized their entire army, the human race had nothing to do. The sorcerer race would never allow so many demon race people to enter the eldritch world. Pass down my order. The entire army is on alert. Be prepared to meet the enemy at any time. After looking at the sky for a while, Feng Zichen estimated that this battle would not stop for at least 1,000 years. However, during this period, the human race still had to be vigilant. Who knew if the demon race had any backup plans to deal with the human race? Boom. Following Feng Zichen's order, the entire human race was activated. The immortal dragon city stood up and surrounded the human race territory. The immortal dragon's soul roared to the sky and swayed its huge body. It circled above the human race territory and protected the human race. At the same time, the chaos formation was also activated. A huge chaos light screen rose and covered the entire human race territory, preventing outsiders from entering. That should be enough, right? Looking at the human race's line of defense, Feng Zichen did not relax at all. However, he had done what he should. Next, it was up to the heavens. The war between the shamans and the demons shocked the whole untainted land. Many people looked over. However, when they saw that this battle did not involve quasi-saints, they inexplicably heaved a sigh of relief. The fact that no sage to be joined meant that the shamans and demons had not completely turned against each other. The great calamity that would engulf the entire untainted land had not yet arrived. Back then, a great war broke out between the three Khanate races, and almost destroyed the primitive world. And the strength of the shaman and demon clans far surpassed the strength of the three innate clans. If they fought, the primordial world would be in trouble. These powerful beings might not be able to stay out of it, so they were very worried. The battle between nearly 10,000 Daoyuo Jingxian is truly shocking. One of the great divine powers exclaimed as he watched the two sorcerer tribes fighting. A chaotic battle between nearly 10,000 Daoyuo Jingxian was probably the first since the creation of the world. Who wouldn't be shocked when they saw this? Poor Wei's chance has come. East Sea, Penglai Island. Xianqing, who was in seclusion to comprehend the innate runes, suddenly opened his eyes. It's time for the talisman Dao to appear. Looking at the battlefield in the sky, Xianqing said in a daze. After so many years, he had finally comprehended the innate talisman Dao. He had thought that with his accumulation and the One Yuan Dao talisman, it would be a simple matter to create the innate talisman Dao. However, Xianqing had overestimated himself. Ever since he returned from the netherworld, he had been in seclusion, trying to create the innate talisman Dao. However, he had failed. Yes, it was not a failure. He had created the talisman Dao. However, it was not the talisman Dao in his heart. It was the talisman Dao of the later generations. Inscribing the innate runes on spiritual objects to borrow the power of the gods of heaven and earth to erupt with power beyond one's own level. This was very simple. As long as one had a deep understanding of the innate runes, it could be done easily. However, it was easy to reach the upper limit in this way. It could mobilize the power of heaven and earth, but it could not mobilize the power of the innate Dao. In other words, it was impossible to prove Daoyuo Jinxian's Dao. It was even impossible to prove Tai Jinxian's Dao. At the end of the cultivation, if one wanted to continue to break through, one had to become one with the Dao. The talisman Dao created by Xianqing could not inherit the Dao. Obviously, it could not do this. That was to say, Xianqing's talisman Dao could make people live forever, but it could not prove the Dao. In the future, this was naturally nothing. Being able to live forever was enough to make people yearn for it. However, it could not be done now. It could not achieve Daoyuo Jinxian's Dao. No matter how miraculous it was, no one would take a look at it. Therefore, Xianqing gave it up. Even if the Dao he created could not become mainstream, it had to be qualified to become mainstream. If it could not achieve Daoyuo Jinxian's Dao, what was the use of creating it? Wasn't that a joke? After that, Xianqing looked at the innate runes repeatedly. He exhausted his wisdom and finally got inspiration from the three Dao of pills, artifacts, and formations. Xianqing traced the origin of these three Daos, and found that the essence of these three Daos was a use of the innate runes. No, to be more precise, all the cultivation systems now were created with the innate runes as the foundation. Even the heavenly Dao, its essence was also the innate runes. It was just that the innate runes that formed it were too complicated and too huge. It was difficult for people to understand. After discovering this, Xianqing no Feng Zichen was moved. Why didn't he bypass everything and use the innate runes as the foundation to create a new cultivation path? A path that included the talisman Dao, but was broader and deeper. He did it when he thought of it. With inspiration, Xianqing, Feng Zichen continued to study it. In the blink of an eye, countless years had passed. And the new talisman Dao, which was the innate talisman Tao, was finally created by Fengzichen. What was the talisman Tao? Using talismans to carry the Tao was the talisman Tao. This innate talisman Tao was countless steps closer to the postnatal talisman Tao. Not only did it include the method of refining talismans of the later generations, but it also used this as the foundation to expand crazily. The talismans of the later generations could only borrow the power of heaven and earth, and the innate talisman could control the power of heaven and earth. Although they both used the power of heaven and earth, the former was borrowed, while the latter was the master. The difference between them was huge. According to Fengzichen's idea, those who cultivated the innate talisman Tao would first comprehend the innate runes of heaven and earth, and then use this as the foundation to condense a natal talisman. This natal talisman was the foundation of a talisman Tao cultivator. In the future, they would rely on it to carry the Tao and become Daoyuo Jingxian. Talismans had the meaning of command. The innate talisman Tao meant to command the Tao of heaven and earth. With the natal talisman, one could condense the power of heaven and earth, and then use the power of heaven and earth to achieve the ability to command all things in heaven and earth. With the power of heaven and earth in one's body, this would put an end to it. In the future, when the gods returned to their positions and performed their duties, they would have to obtain their consent to borrow the power of heaven and earth. In this way, the mighty power would belong to oneself. Poor Wei, Xianqing, saw a trace of heaven's secret in the dark. Today, I specially set up a Tao to open up the great Tao for all living beings in the primordial world. This Tao is called the innate talisman Tao. With the innate talisman Tao, all the Tao of heaven and earth can be understood. Standing above the East Sea, Xianqing held the Yuan Taoist talisman in his hand and said slowly, "Boom." A terrifying aura rose from Xianqing's body. Then, innate runes surged out of his body and gathered into an innate talisman. This was Xianqing's natal talisman. He was deducing the cultivation process of the innate talisman Tao. Condensing the natal talisman meant that one had officially entered the innate talisman Tao and became a cultivator in the innate realm. As for why he was not an acquired realm cultivator, it was naturally because in today's era, acquired realm cultivators were really not mainstream and had no human rights. Then this innate talisman constantly blended with heaven and earth and branded more innate runes on his body, making the patterns on his body more complex and mysterious. Finally, as this innate talisman blended with heaven and earth, the power of heaven and earth appeared on his body. Although it was only a trace, it also meant that he could mobilize the power of heaven and earth. The void refinement realm was also the sun god realm. Cultivating the innate talisman to this level meant that the cultivator had reached this realm. When the power of heaven and earth on the innate talisman reached the limit, it transformed again and a trace of power appeared on his body. Celestial immortal. When the power of heaven and earth appeared on the innate talisman, it meant that he had become an immortal. The power of heaven and earth became stronger and stronger, and gradually, a mysterious light was produced. This was the mystic immortal realm. When the mysterious light evolved to the limit, it became an immortal light. This was the golden immortal realm. At this realm, one's true spirit would be immortal and one's lifespan would be eternal. Only then could one be completely free from birth, old age, sickness, and death. It could be said that one would live as long as heaven and earth and shine as brilliantly as the sun and moon. The immortality that the later generations pursued was the realm of golden immortals. At this time, the innate talisman had evolved to the limit. If he wanted to take another step, he had to transform and sublimate, and merge with Tao. Boom. The figure of the innate talisman shook as if it had broken some kind of limit, and came to the world of Tao. A ray of Tao light rose from its body. Under this influence, the shape of the innate talisman began to change and gradually approached the appearance of a Tao seal. However, the power of merging with Tao alone was not enough to promote the transformation of the innate talisman. In the end, when the transformation of the innate talisman was complete, it became a Tao seal. An illusory Tao seal. Tai Jingxian. At this stage, the innate talisman represented the realm of Tai Jingxian. When the Tao seal completely solidified, it would be the time for it to become Daoyuo Jingxian. Boom. The illusory Tao seal suddenly shook and countless innate talismans flew out and merged with it, completely solidifying its body. Buzz. An aura of the Tao of heaven and earth spontaneously emanated from the Tao seal. It was as deep as the sea and mysterious and unpredictable. At this moment, it seemed to have become the incarnation of Tao, using talismans to carry Tao. This was the highest achievement of the innate talisman Tao. The aura of the Tao emitted from this Tao seal was exactly the same as the Tao of the innate clear spirit. It was the Tao of the Xianqing Tao. In other words, this Tao seal was the Daoyuo Tao fruit of the Xianqing Tao. Using the innate spiritual treasure Yuan Tao talisman to suppress fate, forget the Tao of heaven. Innate talisman Tao rise. Xianqing shouted loudly as he sacrificed the Tao fruit to the 9 heavens, and the deepest part of the eldritch world. That was the place closest to the Tao of heaven. The Tao fruit was long and radiant, explaining the mysteries of the innate talisman Tao. In an instant, everything about the innate talisman Tao was controlled by the Tao of heaven. Rumble. The entire eldritch world suddenly became oppressive. Even the witches and demons who were in the middle of a fierce battle stopped, and stood quietly at the side. Because the Tao of heaven had descended. Yes. An extremely loud but cold voice resounded throughout the eldritch world, and clearly entered the ears of every living being. This was the voice of the Tao of heaven. He recognized the existence of the innate talisman Tao. Rumble. An even larger innate talisman appeared and hung high in the sky for everyone to see. Then, this innate talisman Tao displayed the cultivation methods of the innate talisman Tao. Preaching. This was the Tao of heaven personally helping Xianqing spread the innate talisman Tao. The innate talisman Tao existed in the eldritch world for 100 years before slowly dissipating. And in these 100 years, there was no war in the eldritch world. All the races fell into a strange silence, and did not dare to start a war to avoid attracting the attention of the Tao of heaven. Even the witches were no exception. Rumble. After the preaching, Xuanqing's reward came. Above the sky, a bright golden light appeared, and then became more and more, covering a part of the sky. That was the heaven and earth merit. Endless heaven and earth merit. It was about half of the merit that Feng Zichen obtained when he established the innate sword Tao. The innate sword Tao came from the postnatal reverse, which was unprecedented. It had great creation, great luck, and great merit, more than the merit of a saint. The merit could be ranked in the top 3 in the eldritch world, second only to the reincarnation of Hutu and Nuwa. To have half of the merit of establishing the innate talisman Tao was already not a small amount. It could let an ordinary person who had never cultivated enter the sage-to-be realm. Boom. The heaven and earth merit fell and split into 2. 80% flew to Xianqing and 20% flew to the first essence Tao talisman. The first essence Tao talisman was considered Feng Zichen's lifetime numinous treasure. It was a supreme-grade treasure, and contained the changes of Khanate runes. This treasure played a huge role in Xianqing, being able to establish the Khanate talisman Tao. Therefore, it could receive 20% of the merit. Of course, that was not its most precious part. Its most precious part was that it was not a Khanate numinous treasure nurtured by the primordial world, but created by the great Tao. In other words, the quality of the first essence Tao talisman was extremely high. If it was nurtured well, it might be able to advance to a Khanate cardinal treasure. Bus. After absorbing 20% of the heaven and earth merit, the first essence Tao talisman lit up with a ray of light. Its quality improved slightly, and it was a small step closer to becoming a Khanate cardinal treasure. Seeing that the heaven and earth merit was useful for the first essence Tao talisman, Xianqing did not hesitate and injected 80% of his merit into its body. Buzz. The first essence Tao talisman trembled violently and countless Khanate runes appeared on its body alternately, deducing the mysteries of the great Tao, and its aura became stronger. Unfortunately, the merit of establishing the Khanate talisman Tao was not enough to raise it to the level of a Khanate cardinal treasure. When the merit was exhausted, although the aura of the first essence Tao talisman was several times stronger, it was still a supreme-grade Khanate numinous treasure. It could only be said that it was infinitely close to a Khanate cardinal treasure, but was still a step away. However, Xianqing was already very satisfied with that. Khanate cardinal treasures were too rare and could not be forced. After the merit, Xuanqing's second reward came. The augmentation of the myriad Tao. With the power of the myriad Tao augmenting his body, he could observe the world at a higher realm to increase his Tao comprehension. Chapter 476. The mysteries of heaven and earth were in front of him, and all kinds of feelings floated in Xianqing's heart, causing him to fall into a wonderful state. An auspicious cloud rose from Xianqing's head. It was the same color as the sky, and the innate clear spirit qi filled the air. Then the 3 flowers swayed out. They were all of the 12th realm, and emitted natural spiritual energy. Daoyuo Jingxian had reached perfection. At this moment, Daoyuo Jingxian's Xianqing realm had reached its peak. Next, all he needed to do was to use the innate spiritual treasure to imbue the good and evil obsessions, and sever one of them. Then he would be able to become a pre-saint. Actually, Xianqing's current accumulation was enough to break through to the sage-to-be realm. When he was determined to become the great emperor of the Eastern Pole, Qinghua, to save the people and save the world, he understood the kindness in his heart. Today he had created the Khanate talisman Tao, and his cultivation had reached the peak of Daoyuo Jingxian. In theory, he could cut off the good corpse at any time and cultivate into a quasi-saint corpse. But in reality, Xianqing was unable to break through to quasi-saint. His cultivation time was too short, and he had not been baptized by the cataclysmic tribulation. He needed the next cataclysmic tribulation to break through. It's over. After retreating from the Tao realm, Xianqing felt a little lost. That kind of feeling was really wonderful, and it left him with an endless aftertaste. Unfortunately, this state of being blessed by the myriad Taos could only be obtained by those with great merit, and it was only temporary. If he wanted to experience it again, he didn't know if he would have the chance. With the establishment of innate talisman Taoism, the next step is to find a way to promote talisman Taoism. However, Xianqing soon returned to his senses and began to plan for the next period of time. That was the flourishing of the Khanate talisman Tao. Nowadays, the whole untainted land was in turmoil because of the war between the liches and the demons. It was an unprecedented chaotic world, and the best time for the innate talisman Taoism to flourish. What are the characteristics of talisman Tao? It was talisman drawing. It was the weak defeating the strong. When the primordial world fell into chaos, it was Xianqing's opportunity. As long as he explained the characteristics of the innate talisman Taoism to the living beings of the primordial world, the living beings would definitely rush to practice the talisman Taoism. Even if it wasn't his main cultivation, he still had to take it as a secondary cultivation and practice the Tao of talisman drawing. Just imagine if one were to suddenly take out a large stack of talismans during a battle. Wouldn't the situation of the battle be reversed in an instant? On the battlefield, those who could become the mainstream were those who could increase their chances of survival. Moreover, when people were facing death, they would often be able to stimulate their great potential and explode with astonishing wisdom, achieving all kinds of unbelievable achievements. The sparks of wisdom were blossoming, giving birth to all kinds of wonderful ideas. With the help of some primitive beings who didn't want to die, the Tao of Talisman would definitely develop rapidly. Presumably, some powerful and strange Tao talismans would appear in the primordial world. Chaotic times were the golden age of the Khanate talisman Tao. In this peaceful and prosperous age, everyone was focused on comprehending the great Tao. There was no chance for these unorthodox methods and cultivation skills to flourish. With a plan in mind, Xianqing waved his sleeves and sent out his token in the air, beginning to gather the disciples of the Jie sect. Of course, the purpose of gathering them was to draw talismans. Even if Xianqing drew for 1,000 years, he wouldn't be able to draw many Tao talismans. However, with the help of the disciples of Jie school, it would be different. Except for Daoyuo Jingxian's Tao talismans, he had enough Tao talismans of other levels to supply the entire human race. Thinking about it, with the help of the Tao talismans, even if the human race still couldn't defeat the demons, they could still cause huge damage to them. As for the disciples of Jie school, they didn't know how to draw Tao talismans. Xianqing expressed that it didn't matter. If they didn't know, they could learn. Putting everything else aside, the thing that Jie school didn't lack the most was talents. Especially talents who were proficient in unorthodox methods. Most of the cultivation arts in the future were created by the disciples of Jie school. Perhaps the 100 arts didn't flourish in their hands, but they still had to be blamed for the source. Wouldn't it be easy for such a talent to learn how to draw talismans? The heavenly Tao retreated. The magi and demons looked at each other and started fighting again. Now the reason for the war basically had nothing to do with the human race. The main reason was the blood feud between the magi and demons that couldn't be resolved. After fighting for so long, the anger of the two races had been ignited. Especially under the influence of the tribulation aura, the hatred of the past surged into their hearts, almost making them lose their minds. Therefore, they fought even more fiercely, fighting with their lives on the line. Of course, there were those who lost their minds, and there were also those who didn't, such as the 10 great demon gods. After all, those who had been baptized by the East Emperor Bell were more resistant to the tribulation aura than ordinary people. Bai Zhe, who was not blinded by hatred, always remembered their purpose of coming here, and the task that Di Jun had given them. Therefore, in the increasingly tragic battle, he found an opportunity to work together with the other 9 great demon gods to forcefully tear a gap in the strong defense line of the Magi, and send an elite of the demon clan into the untainted land. You're courting death. Seeing this, Xiang Lu was furious. He was about to activate the Khanate spirit treasure in his hand to kill all the elites of the demon clan. Under the full defense of the Magi, there was still an elite of the demon clan entering the untainted land. What an irony for the Magi! As a grand magus, Xiang Lu couldn't accept this humiliation. How dare you? It wasn't easy to send people into the untainted land. How could Bai Zhe watch Xiang Lu kill them? Therefore, at this moment, Bai Zhe attacked Xiang Lu without reservation, forcing him to not attack the elites of the demon clan. Bastard! Bai Zhe came aggressively. Xiang Lu didn't dare to underestimate him, and hurriedly stood up to block him. Affected by this, he was no longer able to attack the elites of the demon clan. He could only watch them escape into the distance. Therefore, Xiang Lu became more and more furious. He vented his anger on Bai Zhe and fought with him crazily. On the other side, there were about 50,000 elites of the demon clan. As soon as they landed, they rushed toward the human clan. Their purpose was obvious. In the imperial court of human Tao, Feng Zichen suddenly trembled. An image appeared in his mind. It was the image of the human experts fighting with the 50,000 demon clan troops. This was the ability to predict the future. It was one of the 36 supreme theurgies of the Big Dipper. It could see the past, present, and future. It could see through the secrets of heaven and predict the future. It could know the fate of all living beings and know all karma. Oh no, the demon clan is here. With a thought, Feng Zichen knew the cause and effect. He was about to use his theurgy to kill all the elites of the demon clan. But just as he raised his right hand, before he could use his theurgy, he sensed that there were 3 gazes in the void looking at him from afar. The aura of the owners of the 3 lines of sight was very similar to Di Jun's aura. However, there were some subtle differences. Is it Di Jun? No. It's his 3 corpses. Chapter 477. Among the 3 auras, Feng Zichen sensed the aura of Di Jun's evil corpse. The identities of the other 2 were self-evident. They were Di Jun's good corpse and self-corpse. Even the evil corpse and Di Jun's 3 corpses had appeared. Hiss! Di Jun actually severed the 3 corpses. Thinking of this, Feng Zichen's heart was suddenly shocked. One had to know that among the 6 saints, only the Taiching saint had severed the 3 corpses. The rest had only severed the good and evil corpses. Even Nuwa had severed the good corpse. As the saying went, good and evil were easy to sever, but it was difficult to know oneself. From this, one could see how shocking it was that Di Jun could sever the 3 corpses. But immediately he calmed down. Wasn't it normal for Di Jun to sever the 3 corpses? Otherwise, why would he dare to enter seclusion to break through to the primordial chaos Tao realm? It was because he had severed the 3 corpses. Not only Dijun, but all the half-step primordial chaos existences in the celestial sect of wonders had probably severed the three corpses. This was the method of Tao ancestor Hongjun to become a saint, and it was also the method of becoming the primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian. As the successor of the celestial sect of wonders, this method was naturally the first choice for the disciples of the celestial sect of wonders to achieve the Tao. Of course, other than using strength to achieve the Tao, this was the only way they knew. His expression changed for a while, and Feng Zichen slowly withdrew his hand. With Dijun's three corpses, he probably wouldn't have the chance to attack this group of demon elites. Believe it or not, as soon as he attacked, Dijun's three corpses, together with all the quasi-saints of the demon race, would attack him together and blast the human territory into pieces. Dijun was warning him. As long as he didn't attack, the quasi-saints of the demon race wouldn't attack. Dijun, oh Dijun, you sent out the three corpses. Although I can't interfere with this battle between humans and demons, you inadvertently exposed your strength. Do you know? You, Dijun, the great desolate celestial emperor, are not as powerful as I imagined. Feng Zichen thought to himself as he sat back on the throne. This time, Dijun exposed his real realm. He was still far from breaking through the realm of origin Daoyuo Jingxian. He was not as close as the powerful mediums in Untainted Land had guessed. Severing the three corpses was only the end of the quasi-sage path, reaching the great circle of quasi-sage. After that, he still needed to combine the three corpses into one before he could be considered to have reached the realm of the primordial Daoyuo Jingxian. Obviously, Dijun had failed to do so. Otherwise, his three corpses would not have come out to wander around. Instead, they would have gone into seclusion with him. On the other hand, Dong Huangtai had not made a move for a long time, which made Feng Zichen worried. He had already caused so much trouble for the demon clan, but Dong Huangtai did not react at all. He did not even show the shadow of the three corpses. Obviously, he had reached a critical moment, and was about to combine the three corpses. If Dong Huangtai really succeeded, then the human clan would have no hope. On this day, the demon clan elites finally arrived outside the immortal dragon city, after traveling for several years in the Untainted Land. The Untainted Land was too big. Just traveling alone had wasted a lot of time for the demon clan elites. Fortunately, the elites of the sorcerer tribe were fighting with the elites of the demon tribe in the sky. Their journey was smooth and they did not encounter any trouble. Kill. Seeing the immortal dragon city, the leading demon general gave the order. The demon clan army immediately got into formation and advanced forward. This time, the demon clan army had a total of 50,000 people. It was 10 times more than the previous time. The Khanate formation they used was naturally different. As the formation took shape, the shadows of 108 ancient stars slowly rose above the demon clan elites. They faced the 108 main stars of the heavenly spirits and earthly fiends in the boundless starry sky. Minor heavenly cycle star formation. This was the name of this formation. It was one of the top 10 Khanate formations that the demon clan had mastered. 1. In the boundless starry sky, the heavenly spirits and earthly fiends trembled inexplicably. A total of 108 stars fell down towards the shadows of the main stars. This was the function of the minor heavenly cycle star formation. It borrowed the power of the 108 main stars of the heavenly spirits and earthly fiends in the boundless starry sky to fight for it. Rumble. It was as if an ancient god was awakening. Terrifying auras spread out from the shadows of the stars. Then, the shadows of gods walked out from the shadows of the stars and charged towards the immortal dragon city. Every main star of the Untainted Land represented a Khanate Tao. These gods that walked out from the shadows of the main stars were the gods that they gave birth to. They were the Khanate gods, the embodiment of Tao. They were also the Khanate star gods when they became Daoyuo Jingxian. In other words, these shadows were the projections of Daoyuo Jingxian, and possessed the power of Daoyuo Jingxian. A star god clenched his fists and punched towards the immortal dragon city. Bang! 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 Daoyuo Jingxian's power was so strong that the immortal dragon city trembled uncontrollably. If it wasn't for the fact that it had devoured the flesh of thousands of demon clan elites, it wouldn't have been able to withstand the attacks of these star gods. However, even so, the immortal dragon city was on the verge of collapse under the attacks of the star gods. It was as if it would be destroyed at any time. Die Demon Clan. At this moment, 9 powerful auras rose from the back of the humans. They turned into 9 towering figures and charged towards the Demon Clan elites. They were the 9 human kings. Each of them was comparable to Daluo Jinxian. Facing 50,000 Demon Clan elites, Feng Zichen didn't panic at all. Even if the 9 human kings were here. With the 9 human kings attacking, there was no doubt about the outcome of this battle. One Daluo Jinxian might not be able to defeat 50,000 well-trained Demon Clan elites. However, with 9 Daluo Jinxian attacking at the same time, no matter how exquisite the Demon Clan's formation was, it couldn't withstand the great power of Daluo Jinxian. Not long after, the Demon Clan elites were all annihilated. Damn it! In the sky, the Demon Clan elites were all dead. Baize sensed it immediately. He couldn't help but roar and charge towards the sorcerer tribe. Pass down my orders. All soldiers, break through the sorcerer tribe's defense line at all costs. Enter the eldritch world and destroy the humans. Baize was furious and gave the order. Yes. The Demon Clan army received the order and charged towards the sorcerer tribe. In Daluo Jinxian's side, the Demon Clan and the sorcerer tribe had about the same number of troops. However, the difference between the cultivators below them was much greater. The Demon Clan had 10,000 times more Tai Jinxian than the sorcerer tribe. Therefore, under the relentless attacks of the Demon Clan elites, the sorcerer tribe elites resisted for 100 years with great difficulty. In the end, they were no match for the Demon Clan's human wave attack and were defeated. This also meant that the defense line set up by the sorcerer tribe had completely lost its effect. The Demon Clan elites attacked the eldritch world. Fortunately, although the sorcerer tribe elites were defeated, the grand sorcerers didn't. They even gained a huge advantage and suppressed the demon gods. Of course, they would suppress the demon gods. In the past, when the sorcerer tribe hadn't cultivated the fiend god path, the demon gods couldn't defeat the grand sorcerers. Now the grand sorcerers cultivated the fiend god path. Not only did their strength improve, but they also made up for their shortcomings and could use connate spirit treasures. The demon gods. How could they be a match for the grand sorcerers? It was normal for them to be suppressed. Kill. After the Demon Clan army arrived at the eldritch world, the first thing they did was to confirm the location of the human clan's territory, and then rush there. Moreover, unlike the Demon Clan elite sent by Baize, this Demon Clan army came to the eldritch world on a starboat. In other words, they would be very fast. Of course, this was not the most terrifying thing. The most terrifying thing was that there were more than 90 million of them. Other than those who died in the battle with the sorcerer tribe army, all the remaining Demon Clan elites had gathered here. Driving thousands of ragged star boats, they marched towards the human army in a formidable array. In just a few days, this Demon Clan army arrived at the immortal dragon city. What a strong defense! But against the Demon Clan, no matter how strong the defense is, it's like paper. The leader of the demon lords looked at the immortal dragon city from afar, and sighed in admiration. But this couldn't stop the Demon Clan army. Just as he had said, no defense could stop the advance of the demon race army, because even the powerful sorcerer tribe had been defeated. Who else in the eldritch world could compete with them? Soldiers, get into formation. Form the heavenly cycle stars formation. The demon lord waved his hand and ordered coldly. Then 364 demon gods with star power around them flew up from the Demon Clan army, with heavenly cycle star streamers in their hands. Then the Demon Clan army moved. With the 364 demon gods in the sky as the benchmark, they divided into 364 armies. Boom! More than 90 million Demon Clan soldiers activated their dermic powers at the same time, and infused them into the heavenly cycle star streamers. In an instant, a huge amount of demon aura shot up into the sky and dyed the sky black. Zhoxing and the boundless starry sky vibrated together. Each of them sent down strands of star power toward the heavenly cycle star streamers. The heavenly cycle stars formation was completed. At the same time, the demon aura that covered the sky was dispersed by the endless star power. The heavenly cycle stars formation was the most powerful formation of the demon clan. It was also the formation that could bring out the full strength of the demon clan. It wasn't that the demon clan couldn't set up this formation without Zhouxing. Instead, the heavenly cycle stars formation set up by Zhouxing was the most powerful. The heavenly cycle stars formation's strength lay in its Zhouxing. Without Zhouxing, this formation would still be profound. However, it wouldn't be one of the top 3 formations in the primordial world. It would only be one of the top 10. With the heavenly cycle star streamers, the demon clan could also set up the heavenly cycle stars formation. However, its strength would be greatly reduced. Yes, it was the standard of being one of the top 10 in the primordial world. Of course, even so, the strength of the heavenly cycle stars formation was far from what humans could contend against. With this formation, the demon clan will be able to dominate the primordial world. The demon lord leading the demon clan was somewhat mesmerized by the magnificent heavenly cycle stars formation. This person was different from other demon clan members. He was a true Khanate godfiend, the darling of heaven and earth. He was destined to become Daoyuo Jingxian. Even demon gods had to address him as fellow Taoist. Therefore, he was known as the Demon Lord, and was the commander of the 90 million demon clan soldiers. As for the 364 demon lords holding the heavenly cycle star streamers, they weren't simple either. They weren't Khanate godfiends but the sons of demon gods. Yes, they were the sons of the demon god overseeing Zhouxing. Chapter 478. Because of this, they were able to stand out from the billions of demons and wield the heavenly cycle star banner. Kill. For the glory of the demons, slaughter the humans. At the command of the demon lord, the demon army activated the formation with all their might and launched an attack on the humans. Illusory images of ancient stars appeared one after another, emitting a vast aura. They froze the surrounding void, Law's great Tao and Khanate Qi. At the same time, stalwart figures walked out from the illusory images of the stars. They controlled the power of the stars and blasted toward the immortal dragon city. As for the human race experts, they were shocked speechless when they saw the endless demon race army rushing over. When the heavenly cycle star formation appeared, the human experts fell into despair. How are we going to fight? The difference was too great. With so many demon armies working together to set up the heavenly cycle star formation, even Daoyuo Jingxian would probably be refined to death without any chance of survival. For a moment, the humans were in danger. With a deep roar, the 9 lords attacked together. They stood in the void in the position of the 9 palaces, and activated the chaos formation with all their might. The demons' attack was too strong. The immortal dragon city alone would not be able to withstand it. Therefore, the 9 lords did not hesitate to activate the strongest formation of the humans, the chaos formation, to resist the heavenly cycle star formation of the demons. The human experts could lose confidence and despair, but the 9 lords could not. They were the backbone of the humans. If they lost all hope, the humans would really have no hope. In an instant, 9 Khanate spiritual treasures appeared and emitted shocking waves. The chaos light screen underwent a huge change. Streaks of light appeared from its body, emitting a primordial aura. Those were Khanate Tao laws. The Khanate Tao laws emitted by the 9 Khanate spiritual treasures. With them, the defense of the chaos formation would be greatly improved. It could even become the strongest defense in the primordial world. Unfortunately, as the most important components of the chaos formation, the 9 Khanate spiritual treasures had not been collected by Feng Zichen. Only 4 of the Khanate spiritual treasures were real. The other 5 were just illusory images. In other words, this great primal chaos array was just like the great heavenly cycle star array of the demon race. It was incomplete and imperfect. Therefore, the current primal chaos formation was still quite a distance away from the strongest defense of the primordial world. Rumble. After being blasted away by the massive heavenly cycle star formation's attack, the chaotic light screen emitted a loud creaking sound. It first shook for a moment before it suddenly shattered. However, the demon race's attack had exhausted all of its strength. Swoosh! With a flash of chaotic light, the chaotic light screen was restored to its original state, firmly blocking the advance of the demon army. The chaos bead was the foundation of the chaos array. As long as it was not destroyed, the chaos array would not be destroyed. Naturally, the chaos light screen would be reborn as it was destroyed. What a miraculous formation! It can actually block the attack of the grand heavenly cycle star formation. But how many times can you block it? Seeing that this attack did not work, the leader of the demon lords could not help but be a little surprised, but he did not think too much about it. There were countless capable people in the primordial world with endless means. It was normal for them to be able to block 1 or 2 attacks from the demons. Again. The leader of the demon lords ordered again. Boom, 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 beams of terrifying starlight shot out from the massive heavenly cycle star formation and blasted towards the humans. The power contained in the starlight was already enough to severely injure Daoyuo Jingxian. However, such a powerful force was blocked by the great primal chaos formation every single time. Although the chaotic light screen had to be broken every time to block the attack of the massive heavenly cycle star formation, it was reborn every time. Whenever the chaotic light screen was broken, it would regenerate in the next moment. Thus, the attacks of the massive heavenly cycle star formation would never be able to harm the humans. What kind of formation is this? How can it be so powerful? Only then did the leader of the demon lords realize that something was amiss. The massive heavenly cycle star formation was one of the most powerful formations in the primordial world. Only a connate formation of the same level could block its attack. I did not expect a mere human to possess a connate formation that is comparable to the massive heavenly cycle star formation. How surprising! But I don't believe that you can really block the attack of the massive heavenly cycle star formation. All soldiers, listen up. Activate the formation with all your might and attack the humans at all costs. The massive heavenly cycle star formation had been famous in the primordial world for many years. Apart from the 12 divine beings formation, it had never met a worthy opponent. The demon lords did not believe that any connate formation of the humans could block it. Roar! The demon army did not hold back. They unleashed all their power and activated the massive heavenly cycle star formation. For a moment, the power of the stars fell from the sky like rain. Zhouxing's shadow was even more dazzling. It was as if it had a physical body and truly descended from the boundless starry sky. From afar, this place seemed to have become a boundless starry sky. Kill. The demon race's change brought great pressure to the 9 kings of the human race, forcing them to change their strategy. They switched from defense to offense and activated the massive heavenly cycle star formation to attack the demon race army. Swoosh, 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 beams of connate divine light shot out from the massive heavenly cycle star formation. They were extremely dazzling and drowned the demon race army like a river of stars. Connate chi turning into connate divine light was a further application of the massive heavenly cycle star formation. The next step would be to turn the connate divine light into connate god fiends. At that time, the massive heavenly cycle star formation would be at its peak state and be able to fight against the complete massive heavenly cycle star formation. But now, the 9 great connate spiritual treasures were not complete. The massive heavenly cycle star formation could not reach this stage yet. Rumble. The massive heavenly cycle star formation was activated and turned into a huge star formation. It protected the demon race army and prevented them from being destroyed by the connate divine light. Bang 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 bang. The connate divine light hit the massive heavenly cycle star formation and produced a series of loud bangs. However, it could not break through its defense and even showed signs of being defeated by the massive heavenly cycle star formation's counterattack. Oh no, Your Majesty, we are here to lend you a helping hand. Above the immortal dragon city, the human experts saw that the massive heavenly cycle star formation was at a disadvantage. They all stepped forward to help the 9 kings activate the massive heavenly cycle star formation. Seeing that the demon race army was unable to break through the massive heavenly cycle star formation, the human experts gradually regained their confidence. The demon race was not that scary after all. With confidence, they immediately took action and began to counterattack. Although the human experts were not strong, No matter how small an ant was, it was still meat. They could share a lot of the pressure for the 9 lords. Count me in. The void shook and Yang's figure walked out. He stood with the 9 lords and activated the massive heavenly cycle star formation with all his might. Yang of the human race, the previous king of the human race, the only disciple of Saint Taiching, and the real Daoyuo Jingxian. With his help, the pressure on the 9 lords was greatly reduced. And us. After Yang, 3 more divine lights came from outer space and fell into the massive heavenly cycle star formation. They were the 3 ancestors of the human race, Swearin, the Cho clan and the Zi clan. The 3 of them were all Daoyuo Jingxian. They had been cultivating in Jinxiu heaven. Now that they sensed that the human race was in danger, they quickly returned from outer space. Greetings, Emperor Sui. All the humans present here were extremely excited when they saw Swearin return, and even their battle intent rose greatly. In the current human race, only Swearin could compare to Feng Zichen in terms of reputation. Apart from Nuwa, he was the one who lit the fire of civilization for the human race. He was the real ancestor of the human race. Everyone, it's more important to deal with the demons. Swearin and the other 2 also knew that now was not the time for small talk. They quickly activated their magic power to help the 9 lords activate the massive heavenly cycle star formation. With the help of the 4 Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals, the power of the Grand Primal Chaos Formation instantly multiplied. The Grand Heavenly Cycle Star Formation could no longer resist its power. The situation was turning around, and the scales of victory were gradually tilting towards the human race. However, at this critical moment, something unexpected happened. In the sky, the Heavenly Cycle Demon God, who was fighting with the Grand Shaman, sensed that the situation below was not good. He was shocked and quickly sent out a trace of his divine consciousness to activate Zhouxing and increase the output of star power below. However, the battle of the Daoyuo, he could not afford to be distracted at all. In order to help the demon army below, the Heavenly Cycle Demon God was beaten to a pulp by the Grand Shamans. However, he had achieved his goal. Streaks of powerful star power descended from the boundless starry sky and poured into the Heavenly Cycle Star banner. Boom, boom, boom. However, the star power was too strong. It was so strong that the Heavenly Cycle Star banner controlled by the demon army could no longer withstand it and shattered. The shattering of the Heavenly Cycle Star banner triggered a series of huge changes. The first to bear the brunt was the massive Heavenly Cycle Star formation. Even the foundation of the formation was shattered. The massive Heavenly Cycle Star formation could no longer be maintained and exploded as well. Boom. A sound that shook the entire untainted land was heard. Vast amounts of star power surged out and destroyed everything in Zhouzeo's way. After a long time, the star power slowly calmed down. As for the battlefield, it had become a complete mess. The void was filled with cracks, torn apart by the star power. The massive Heavenly Cycle Star formation was also shattered by the huge impact and could not be restored. The immortal Dragon City was also riddled with holes. The human experts were all injured and had completely lost their ability to fight. Fortunately, the 12 Daoyuo Jingxian of the human race did not suffer too much damage. On the other hand, the demons, who were clearly at the center of the explosion, used some unknown method to not suffer too much damage and still maintain their fighting strength. Formed the formation. Formed the Great 9 Heavens formation. The moment the massive Heavenly Cycle Star formation shattered, the demons seemed to have been prepared and immediately moved. They changed their formation at the fastest speed and formed another formation, the Great 9 Heavens formation. This was the Khanate formation that protected the heaven realm in the past. It was ranked second among all the formations of the demon race, second only to the massive Heavenly Cycle Star formation. Everyone, let's fight. Swearin waved his hand and kept the injured people. He looked at the demons in front of him and said. Everyone nodded with a solemn expression. Now the human race could only rely on them. Demons, how dare you? However, before they could make a move, they saw a sorcerer tribe army from afar. They shouted as they charged toward them. Chapter 479. The witch race army had arrived. After being defeated by the demon race army in the sky, the witch race army had been holding back a lot of anger. They wanted to get back at them at all times and wash away the humiliation they had suffered. Therefore, they rested on the ground for a while and regrouped. They followed the traces of the demon race army and chased after them. This time, they had to destroy the demon race army. Kill. As the witch race army rushed forward, they automatically formed a formation and became one with the surrounding turbid air. This was the connate turbid air formation. The connate formation that was carved on the primordial land was obtained by the witch race. It was the most commonly used formation when the witch race fought everywhere. It was also a formation that was second only to the 12 divine beings formation. The witch race army and the demon race army were once again engaged in a battle. Previously, in the battle in the sky, it was not the witch race's home ground, so they could not use their full strength. Therefore, the witch race army was no match for the demon race army. However, it was different now. Standing on the ground, the witch race's power could be endless. They could unleash all their power or even more. It was still unknown who would win between the two races. Swearin and the others looked at this scene in a daze. They had originally planned to fight to the death, but they did not expect such a change. However, they soon reacted and hurriedly attacked the demon race. Everyone, follow me and reduce the pressure on our friends from the witch race. The difference in strength between the demon race and the witch race was too great. Even if the witch race had the home ground advantage, they might not be able to win. It was because of this that Swearin decided to help the witch race. Otherwise, when the witch race was defeated, it would be their turn. How dare you? Seeing that the situation of the demon race army below was not good, for powerful auras soared into the sky from the heavenly court and pounced towards the primordial land. Clearly, these were 4 great overarching golden celestials. They occupied the heaven realm, a rich place, and the entire boundless starry sky. In addition, they had an extremely large population. It would be surprising if the number of Daluo-Jinxian of the demon race was only on par with the witch race. There must be many Daluo-Jinxian of the demon race hiding in the dark. There might even be powerful figures in the Sage-to-be realm who had not appeared. This was not impossible. After all, the resources of the demon race were too abundant. What's more, the demons were the orthodox race. No matter what, Dijun was the heavenly emperor personally conferred by the Tao ancestor. He was the nominal ruler of the primordial world. This was undeniable. Under such conditions, there would definitely be some hidden almighties who would seek refuge. Of course, the demon race was holding back, and the sorcerer race would not be so foolish as to reveal all of their powers. They also had some experts who had yet to show themselves. However, the population base was there. No matter how well the sorcerer tribe hid, they could not hide as well as the demon tribe. As an emperor, he had to have many trump cards. There were so many of them that no one could see through them. Only then could they ensure their own safety. If all his trump cards were exposed, then this emperor would not be far from death. If Feng Zichen could understand the logic, Dijun and Dijiang would definitely understand it as well. The grand sorcerers of the sorcerer tribe were all held back by the demon gods. Therefore, the 6 demon gods easily came to the untainted land and stood in front of Swearin and the others. Fellow Taoists, please. Without saying anything else, the 4 demon gods charged forward with their strongest methods the moment they appeared. Swearin, the Chou clan, the Zi clan, and the Eong clan, the only 4 Daluo-Jinxian of the human race, each faced a demon god. As for the 9 kings of the human race, they followed the original plan and continued to help the sorcerer race deal with the demon race. However, even with the help of the 9 kings, the sorcerer race army still did not gain the upper hand in the battle with the demon race army. They could only barely maintain their victory. Demons, listen up. Go to the lower realm and support the front line. Seeing that the battle was in a stalemate, Dijun was furious and ordered coldly. The ones fighting with the sorcerer race army below were only the elites of the demon race. Apart from that, the demon race also had countless ordinary warriors. Although these clansmen were not as strong as the elites, they were large in number, and were also an extremely powerful force. With their help, they would definitely be able to wipe out the human race in one fell swoop. Under Dijun's order, the Tai-Jingxian demon race walked out of their cave abodes and rushed to the eldritch world. Just as the demon race army was about to move, the water dragon lord stepped out from the East Sea and led hundreds of thousands of dragon race elites to support the human race. At the same time, the other 4 Khanate clans each sent out a Daluo Jingxian to lead the elites of their clans to support the human race. The 5 Khanate clans were the allies of the human race. Now that the human race was in trouble, they certainly would not sit back and do nothing. Now they sent out a Daluo Jingxian to lead the battle. Behind him, there were several Daluo Jingxian preparing to attack at any time. After the reinforcements from the demon race and the reinforcements from the 5 Khanate clans joined the battle became even more intense. This battle lasted for 1,000 years, but there was no clear winner. In the end, when both sides saw that they could not do anything to each other, they retreated and temporarily stopped fighting. However, the consequences of this battle were extremely serious. The void was completely destroyed, and time was completely distorted. The chaos formation was also damaged and temporarily unusable. The immortal dragon city was beaten, until only its foundation was left. All the defensive lines of the human race were completely broken. This was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the demon race had completely gained a foothold in the eldritch world. Without any defense, the human race was completely exposed to the demon race. The human race was really in danger. In the blink of an eye, another 100 years had passed. In this short 100 years, too many things had happened. Especially the human race. Under the attack of the demon race, the human race had lost more than half of their population. This was under the condition that the witch race had delayed the main force of the demon race, and the protection of the 5 Khanate clans, as well as the protection of the Dao talismans sent by Xianqing. Otherwise, the human race would have suffered even greater losses. But now, the human race was almost unable to hold on, even with the help of the 5 Khanate clans and the witch race. The attacks of the demon race became more and more frenzied, to the point where they were willing to risk their lives. This was because as the war continued, the demon race gradually discovered that eating humans and demons could increase their cultivation. This discovery made the demon race completely crazy. They fought their way into the human territory with all their might, just to eat humans and increase their cultivation. In this world, what could be more tempting than increasing one's cultivation? With this reason, even without Dijun's order, the demon race would not let the human race go. And this was not the most worrying thing. The most worrying thing was that the demon race had discovered that the human race's blood seemed to be able to restrain the physical body of the witch race. After the demon race devoured a large number of humans, their bodies were inevitably stained with the blood of humans. Therefore, when they fought with the witch race again, they easily broke through the witch race's defense. It might be a coincidence if it happened once or twice, but if it happened too many times, it would inevitably attract the attention of people with ulterior motives. For example, now an elite demon race who had recently risen was reporting his discovery to the demon lord. Sir Demon Lord, I discovered that the human race's blood seems to be able to restrain the physical body of the witch race. The reason why he could rise so quickly was because he had eaten a large number of humans. Therefore, in the battle with the witch race, he gradually discovered the effect of the human race's blood. Is this true? Is the human race really that useful? Hearing this, the demon lord stood up agitatedly and grabbed the demon soldier's shoulder, asking in disbelief. If this discovery was true, it would be enough to reverse the situation between the witch race and the demon race and completely establish the supreme hegemony of the demon race. How could the demon lord not be agitated? Quick! Quick! Go and catch some humans for me. After a moment, the demon lord calmed down and hurriedly ordered without waiting for the demon soldier to reply. It was easy to verify whether this was true or not. Wouldn't they know if they caught some humans and tested it? If this is true, you will be the first to be credited. I will definitely report to His Majesty and ask him to help you achieve the Daluo status. The demon lord turned around and said to the demon soldier standing at the side. If this was true, then based on his discovery alone, he would definitely become a grand heavenly Tao immortal. In addition, with the demon race's foundation, it wouldn't be difficult to create a Daoyuo Jingxian. If the demon race wanted to capture humans, they wouldn't be able to stop them even if they defended with all their might. Thus, after a few years, hundreds of thousands of human immortals were captured by the demon race. Among them, there was no lack of cultivators in the Tai Jingxian realm. Humph. The demon lord reached out and made a grabbing motion. Hundreds of thousands of humans were reduced to a bloody mist before they could even make a sound. Condense. Then, the demon lord formed a Dao seal and condensed the bloody mist into a ball. Then he opened his mouth and spat out a ball of true fire, refining the bloody mist into a crimson longsword. Using living beings to refine weapons was a demonic technique. Acquired spirit treasures. The quality of these humans is pretty good. I'm more and more convinced that human blood has the ability to restrain the witch race's physical body. Everyone, follow me. Let's find a shaman and see if this sword made from the flesh and blood of a human will really work. After examining the long sword in his hand for a while, the demon lord seemed very satisfied. After praising it, he picked up the sword and headed outside. Clearly, he was going to test it out with the witch race. How is this possible? A Tai Jingxian warrior looked at the crimson longsword in the demon lord's hand with incredulity, and uttered his last words. In the face of this blood-colored sword, the physical body that he was so proud of was easily sliced apart. What a good sword! What a great sword! The demon lord trembled with excitement after confirming the sword's effects. Then he used the blood-red sword to kill a few more sorcerer tribe members. After realizing that the effect was the same, he was relieved. He kept the sword, grabbed a sorcerer tribe member and flew into the sky. This was a matter of great importance, and he couldn't make the decision. It was better to leave it to the higher-ups. At the border of heaven and earth, the Daoyuo Jingxian of the witch race and demon race had stopped fighting. However, they didn't leave. Instead, they stayed where they were and watched each other. Hiss! I didn't expect a small human to have such a terrifying effect. Baizé exclaimed after testing the effects of the crimson longsword with his own hands. The problem that had troubled the demon race for so many years had been solved so easily. Baizé felt like he was in a dream. You've done well. I'll return to the heavenly court and report to His Majesty. When I destroy the witch race in the future, I won't forget your contribution today. Baizé put away the crimson longsword and rushed to the heavenly court. He had already confirmed that the flesh and blood of the human clan could restrain the flesh and blood of the witch clan. However, he did not know why. However, it didn't matter if he didn't know. Dijun would find the answer. In the Lingxiao Hall, all the demi-saints of the demon race, except for Tai Fushi, rushed over to study the mystery of the human bloodline. Even Dijun's original body quietly came out of seclusion after hearing about this. When several top-notch great divines worked together, even a saint could deduce a thing or two. Of course, the secret of the human bloodline couldn't be hidden from them. The bloodline of this human actually contains two supreme powers. How amazing! Of these two powers, one was filled with the aura of creation. Obviously, it was Niua's bloodline. The other was more high-end. It was the power of humanity. Back then, Niua created humans and created the postnatal race. Therefore, she advanced the development of the primordial world, made up for the lack of humanity, and became a saint. It was also because of this that the human race had a trace of humanity's power. It was the combination of these two powers that allowed the human bloodline to have the power to restrain the witch race. As long as it was a life, it belonged to humanity. The witch race was also a member of humanity. Naturally, they were restrained by humanity. Everyone, if you want to destroy the human race, you have to kill Feng Zichen first. Otherwise, no one can withstand his crazy revenge. Dijun glanced at everyone and said, Chapter 480. From the moment he confirmed that the bloodline of the human race could indeed restrain the physical body of the witch race, the human race was hopeless. Dijun would definitely kill the human race at all costs. Now the only thing that worried Dijun was how to deal with Feng Zichen. If they really forced him into a corner, even if the demon race could withstand his revenge, they would have to pay a huge price. In the cultivation civilization, when an individual's strength reached a certain level, it was not a joke for one person to threaten an entire race. It was real. Obviously, the current Feng Zichen had such strength. This is indeed a problem. If the human race is not destroyed, Feng Zichen will have scruples and will not dare to completely fall out with the demon race. But if the human race is destroyed, he will have no scruples. The demon race will have to be on guard against his revenge day and night. Therefore, as long as Feng Zichen does not die, the human race will not be able to move. Kuan-Peng also said with a sigh. In this world, there was only a thief for 1,000 days. There was no such thing as guarding against a thief for 1,000 days. Sigh. Thinking of this, everyone sighed together. With the strength of the demon race, it was not difficult to defeat Feng Zichen. However, it was difficult or even impossible to kill him. When one's strength reached Feng Zichen's level, it was really too difficult to kill him. Facing the encirclement of experts of the same level, if he could not defeat them, he could totally run. If he wanted to break out of the encirclement, unless a saint personally made a move, no one could stop him. There's no rush. Di-Jun exclaimed softly and suddenly smiled as he said to everyone. Your Majesty, what's the good news? Seeing Di-Jun's expression, everyone asked curiously. This good news came out of nowhere. I have a feeling that the day of Tai's breakthrough is approaching. At least 100 years, at most 1,000 years, he will definitely be able to step into the realm of primordial Daluo Jingxian. By then, a mere Feng Zichen will be nothing. Di-Jun said excitedly as he looked at the sun in the distance. After waiting for so many years, Tai was finally about to attain the Tao. Di-Jun did not hide anything from Kuan-Peng and the others, nor did he need to. Tai was about to attain the Tao. Heaven and earth would definitely sense it, and send down all sorts of strange phenomena. At that time, even if Di-Jun didn't say anything, everyone would know. Moreover, Tai's attainment of the Tao was a good thing to suppress the demon race's morale. Why would he hide it? Over the years, the wizard tribe had caused a series of major events in the untainted land. They had the primordial treasure, the primordial geomancy map, and the later two reincarnation. However, the demons did not do anything. Their morale was inevitably low. Now that Tai had achieved his Tao, it was only right to strengthen the demon's morale. Taoist brother Tai is about to attain the Tao. That is truly a joyous occasion for the demon race. When everyone heard this, some were shocked, some were envious, some were excited, and some were jealous. All kinds of emotions surged in their hearts at the same time, and they were momentarily absent-minded. Attaining the Tao, how much people yearned for it. Only when one reached this realm could one truly be able to survive even if heaven and earth were destroyed. No one doubted Di-Jun's words. As brothers of the same origin, Di-Jun naturally sensed that Tai was about to break through. Speaking of which, after Tai broke through, Di-Jun would obtain huge benefits. He was about to break through as well. This was the benefit of being brothers. The two of them came from the same origin. One had attained the Tao, while the other's realm would also increase under the guidance of his aura. With Di-Jun's current realm, if his realm increased, wouldn't he be about to attain the Tao? Everyone, I'll have to trouble you during this period of time. Together with me, keep an eye on Feng Zichen. Don't let him escape. Retracting his gaze, Di-Jun said leisurely. After Tai attained the Tao, Feng Zichen would no longer be a threat. The human race would also become fish on the chopping board, at the mercy of the demons. Yes, Your Majesty. What's going on? Why do I have a creepy feeling? The moment Di-Jun finished speaking, in the human Tao Imperial Court, Feng Zichen suddenly felt a chill. He could not help but shiver, and a great fear arose in his heart. It was as if the crisis of death was coming. Without thinking too much, Feng Zichen hurriedly used the Kane 8 trigrams to deduce the origin of the crisis. However, even after using all the deduction techniques that he was proficient in, he still could not deduce where the crisis came from. It was as if what he felt earlier was an illusion. There was no crisis. This time, we're in big trouble. His heart sank. Feng Zichen understood that this calamity would not be easy to pass. Those that could be deduced were not big trouble. On the contrary, those that could not be deduced were the real big trouble. There was a fatal crisis. Because this meant that there was an existence that surpassed Feng Zichen in the Tao of deduction who was scheming against him. Or, there was an existence whose realm far surpassed Feng Zichen who wanted to deal with him. No matter which of these two situations it was, Feng Zichen could not deal with it. Yes, I'll go find Empress Niwa. With a thought, Feng Zichen was about to leave the human Tao imperial court and go to Jinxiu heaven to ask Empress Niwa where this calamity came from. He could not deduce it, but Empress Niwa's realm was profound and powerful. She would definitely be able to see through it. It was absolutely right to find her. Unfortunately, Feng Zichen had a good idea, but he had not yet left the human Tao imperial court. As soon as he moved, he felt several gazes in the void looking at him from afar. Dijun Kuanpeng Shihi stopping, Feng Zichen's face darkened slightly. He silently retreated to his original spot and fell into silence. At this point, how could he not understand that this calamity came from the demons? Otherwise, why would the demons make such a big move and send out almost all their top experts just to keep an eye on him and not let him leave the demons' sight? Strange. Why do the demons give me a feeling that I'm going to die? Feng Zichen was very puzzled now. If the demons could defeat him, he would of course believe it, because he really could not defeat them. But if the demons could kill him, Feng Zichen did not believe it at all. If he wanted to escape, then the demons would definitely not be able to keep him. Then there was a problem. Where did that premonition of death come from? Feng Zichen's doubts did not last long. Soon he knew the answer. Because a great throbbing suddenly came from the primordial world. The Khanate Tao hung down one after another, and the laws of heaven and earth also appeared and gathered towards the sun star. At this moment, all the powerful figures in the primordial world knew. The Eastern Emperor Tai was about to achieve the Tao. Before Tai had really taken that step, heaven and earth had already reacted first. The Khanate Tao and the laws of heaven and earth spontaneously appeared and moved closer to the sun star to welcome the great existence that was about to be born. The first primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian in the world. So this is where the demon's confidence to kill me lies? Seeing this, Feng Zichen already understood everything. Sage-to-be experts could not kill him, nor could half-primordial experts. However, as the primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian, the Eastern Emperor Tai could kill him. Although at his level, he had already transcended life and death. The so-called death was just a deep sleep. However, with the ability of the demon race, they could extend his slumber for a long time. Now I can only hope that the backup plan I left behind can play its role. At this point, Feng Zichen had no other choice. He could not escape, so he could only fight to the death with the demons. Is Tai about to achieve the Tao? One by one, the powerful figures walked out of seclusion and looked up at the sun star, their hearts filled with excitement. Tai was about to achieve the Tao and step into the legendary primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian realm. This was definitely a far-reaching and extremely meaningful matter, because this not only confirmed that the legendary primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian realm really existed. In the past, everyone knew that there was such a realm that had the power of a saint. It could be broken through without the purple qi of Hongmeng. However, no one could say for sure whether this realm was real or fake. After all, no one had cultivated to this realm. But now, the Eastern Emperor Tai was about to step into the realm of primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian. This gave everyone hope for a breakthrough. In this world, the beginning was often the most difficult. But as long as someone took the lead, the rest would be much easier. When the first primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian appeared, the second, third, and fourth were not far away. Therefore, Tai's breakthrough not only involved the hearts of the demons, but also the hearts of all the powerful figures in the primordial world. They were all waiting for the Eastern Emperor Tai to break through so that they could confirm the path ahead. It could be said that even when the six saints achieved the Tao, there were not so many powerful figures paying attention. After all, the powerful figures did not have the purple qi of Hongmeng, so they could not gain any experience from the six saints' breakthrough. But the Eastern Emperor Tai was different. This was not only his path, but also the path of all the powerful figures. 100 years passed in a hurry. The Khanate Tao that gathered towards the sun star increased and became more and more condensed, as if it had turned into a substance. At this time, it was not an exaggeration to say that the sun star was the #1 holy land in the primordial world. Boom! A ray of light. The eternal light. It rose slowly from the sun star and illuminated the entire primordial world. Tai had achieved the Tao. The entire primordial world was shaking. The great Tao rumbled incessantly, and the laws trembled incessantly. Golden flowers fell from the sky, and golden lotuses surged out of the ground in the sky. The aura of the heavenly Tao was faintly discernible. All kinds of strange phenomena appeared one after another. The birth of a saint was nothing more than this. No matter what, Tai was the first primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian of the primordial world. It was not an exaggeration to receive this honor. The next primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian did not receive this treatment. Dong 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 dong. The Eastern Emperor bell vibrated on its own, emitting 108 loud sounds that spread throughout the primordial world, as if singing the greatness of its master. After the bell rang, an inexplicable Tao sound rang out in the world. It was as if it was celebrating, but also as if it was welcoming the birth of a great existence. And the Eastern Emperor Tai, accompanied by this array of Tao sound, his figure slowly appeared. It was a sun. Its entire body was dazzling golden, and it was so dazzling that people could not open their eyes. Chapter 481. Screech. With a cry that shook the primordial world, the sun changed. Tao and truth intertwined on his body, and countless Khanate Tao patterns appeared on his body. An ancient Tao rhythm spread out, and all concepts were distorted. At this moment he had achieved Tao. Whoosh! Dazzling golden light bloomed from the inside of the sun, so dazzling that people could not open their eyes. A bird's head gradually raised, looking proudly at the primordial world. Then, a huge pair of wings spread out, covering the sky and the sun, releasing the mystery of yin and yang. Finally, 3 huge claws stretched out, like pillars supporting the sky, symbolizing the 3 talents of heaven, earth, and man. This was a huge golden crow, as great as the Tao of heaven and earth, existing with the world. The golden crow was the sun and also Tao. 1 head, 2 wings, 3 feet, symbolizing that Tao gave birth to 1, 1 gave birth to 2, 2 gave birth to 3, and 3 gave birth to all things. Donghuang Tai had comprehended his original self and cultivated the primordial Daoyuo Jingxian. I am Tai. Today, I have comprehended my original self and attained Tao, the primordial Daoyuo Jingxian. I hereby announce to the primordial world. As his voice fell, Tai transformed back into the Khanate Tao body. The Khanate Tao slowly retreated, and the phenomenon of heaven and earth disappeared. The primordial world returned to peace. However, the impact of Tai's attainment of Tao did not disappear. The powerful beings withdrew their gazes from Tai and turned to look at the 6 saints. Now that Tai had attained Tao, the primordial Daoyuo Jingxian had the power of a saint. Although it was not the end of the era of the saints, there were already signs of it. They did not know if the saints could still sit still. Unfortunately, after watching for a while, the saints did not react. The various holy lands were calm, as if everything that had happened in the primordial world could not disturb their Tao hearts. The powerful beings were disappointed that they did not see Donghuang fight the saints. However, soon, they became excited again, and hurriedly looked at the witch race. The witch race was their mortal enemy. Now that Donghuang had attained Tao, the witch race should be the most anxious. However, they were disappointed again. The witch race did not have any reaction. The witch race did not even show his face. They completely treated the matter of Donghuang's attainment of Tao as if it did not exist. Strange, it was really strange. It was fine that the saints did not move, but why did the witch race not react? The powerful beings were very confused. Of course, the Grand Sorcerer was anxious. However, at that moment, the gestation of the 13 Grand Sorcerers of the Sorcerer tribe had reached a critical moment. They could not do without humans. Therefore, unless the demon clan was willing to go to war with the sorcerer tribe at all costs, the Grand Sorcerer tribe would definitely not appear. No matter how big the world was, it was not as big as nurturing the 13 ancestors of sorcery. In the imperial court of human Tao, Feng Zichen discovered that as Tai attained the Tao, Di Jun and the others who had been watching over him withdrew their gazes one by one. Chance. With a thought, Feng Zichen summoned the perfected golden immortals from the 5 Khanate tribes. He was now the focus of the demon race's attention, and there was no possibility of him escaping. However, the human race was not. This was an opportunity. Fellow Taoists, now that Tai has achieved the Tao, the human race is doomed. There's no need for you to stay here and die with the human race. Feng Zichen said in a deep voice as he looked at the incoming Daoyuo Jingxian. At this moment, it was indeed meaningless for them to stay in the human race. It was better for them to leave as soon as possible to save their lives. Taoist priests, you must be joking. The human race is in a life and death situation. As allies, how can we abandon the human race at this time? Of course, we also know that even if we stay, we won't be of much use. However, if we risk our lives, we can drag a few demon gods to die with us. We can weaken the demon race's strength and vent our anger for the human race. The 5 of them looked at each other, and the water dragon lord stepped forward and said, from the moment they decided to come to the human race, they were already prepared to die. After all, they were facing the demon race, a demon race that was even stronger than the 3 races when they were at their peak. Everyone is so righteous. Looking at the empty space, Feng Zichen did not speak for a long time. He did not expect that the 5 of them would be willing to die for the human race. Although Daoyuo Jingxian was immortal, his tens of millions of years of bitter cultivation had all turned into flowing water. He needed to cultivate again. The price was not small. Fellow Taoist, you have made up your mind. I won't persuade you anymore. However, please let the elites of the 5 races leave. They are still young. They shouldn't die here. After a while, Feng Zichen said again. That's true. We will let them return to their races later. The 5 of them thought about it and agreed. After that, there was a moment of silence. Taoist priests, what else do you need to say? Seeing that Feng Zichen did not speak, the water dragon lord took the initiative to ask. Everyone, I have a request, but I don't know how to say it. After a pause, Feng Zichen said. Taoist priests, just say it. If we can do it, we will do it. The 5 of them replied in unison. I would like to ask the elites of your races to take away a portion of the human race when you retreat and leave some fire for our race. This was the idea that Feng Zichen had just thought of. No matter how strong the demons were, they could not provoke the 5 Khanate races at the same time. Otherwise, the 5 sacred beasts would fight to the death and completely destroy the primordial world. No one would end well. Therefore, sending a portion of the human race to the 5 Khanate races could most likely protect their safety. Of course, there could not be too many of them, nor could they be too strong. Otherwise, the large-scale disappearance of the human race would definitely attract the attention of the demons. This matter is feasible. The 5 of them agreed without any hesitation. As allies, this was what they should do. As for the danger, they did not believe that the demons would rush over to attack the 5 Khanate races when the 5 Khanate sacred beasts appeared. The 5 elements sacred beasts were guarding the 4 poles. It was both a restraint and a threat. If they recklessly destroyed the 4 poles, the primordial world might be destroyed. Therefore, the mighty figures of the primordial world dared to threaten the 5 races, but no one dared to destroy them. Next, Feng Zichen secretly selected a group of humans and let the elites of the 5 races take them away. Yes, they were escorted away by the 5 Daoyuo Jingxian. This way, no one in the demon army dared to stop them. After that, Feng Zichen began to shrink the human race's forces and let the major tribes and clansmen enter the human Tao imperial court. After all, the human Tao imperial court was the supreme treasure of the human race. With the combined strength of the human race, Feng Zichen's plan, and the power of the chaos bead, it might be possible to fight for a chance of survival for the human race. However, this time, Feng Zichen's order, it did not have the effect that it should have. More than 80% of the human race did not follow Feng Zichen's order to rush to the human Dao imperial court. Instead, they fled to the primordial world. Even if Swerin came out to persuade them to stay, it was useless. Ever since the immortal dragon city was broken and the demons attacked the human territory, the humans and demons had been at a disadvantage in the battle. This caused some humans to be scared out of their wits by the demons. Now Feng Zichen gathered all the strength of the human race in the human Dao imperial court. It was obvious that he wanted to fight the demons to the death. How could the terrified humans be willing to go? Naturally, they fled in panic. The human emperor has gone mad. He wants to fight the demons to the death. Isn't this hitting a rock with an egg? We're not leaving to run away. We're leaving a useful body for the future. The demons destroyed the human race because the human emperor angered the celestial emperor. Why should we bear the responsibility? These were the words that some people shouted as they fled. The weak would never understand the greatness of the strong. They thought that they could escape the demons' pursuit and survive if they left the human Dao imperial court. Little did they know that if they stayed, they still had a chance of survival. If they left, only death awaited them. Who is it? Who is scheming against the human race? In the human Dao imperial court, Feng Zichen felt a flame of fury burn in his heart. He wanted nothing more than to burn the person behind the scenes to ashes. It was normal for people to flee. Feng Zichen had expected this. Wasn't this the weakness of postnatal life forms? However, more than 80% of the human race had fled. If Feng Zichen still couldn't figure out the problem, he would really be a fool. Someone was definitely playing tricks in the dark. Someone was using divine arts to bewitch the humans and wear down their fighting spirit. This was why the humans fled on a large scale. Otherwise, why would so many humans flee? First, they had to send out the demons. If they had this ability, they would have used it long ago. They wouldn't have waited until today. Chapter 482. According to the principle that whoever benefited the most was the most suspicious. The mastermind should be one of the saints. After all, after the great Magi-Demon War ended, the two races declined one after another, and the saints became the true rulers of the primordial world. In particular, during the great Magi-Demon War, a few saints played an extremely dishonorable role and secretly pushed for the outbreak of the war. Therefore, it was very likely that the saints schemed against the human race to increase the strength of the demon race. Tai had achieved the Dao. On the surface, the demon clan was stronger than the wizard clan. But in reality, that was not the case at all. From the beginning to the end, the demon race was never stronger than the Magi race. The Dao of the Tai was just a helpless act by the heavenly Dao to maintain the balance between the Magi and the demon race. The difference in strength between the Magi and the demon race was too great. If the heavenly Dao did not let the Tai achieve the Dao, the demon race would definitely not be able to stop the Magi race. Defeat would be a matter of time. One had to know that the current Magi race was completely different from before. Their strength had undergone an earth-shattering change. The Magi who cultivated the Dao of God-fiends had made up for their flaws, developed their bloodline, and could even activate Dharma treasures. This caused the strength of the Magi race to at least double. That's twice the amount. Before the strength of the Magi race doubled, the demon race used all their strength and barely fought to a draw with the Magi race. Now that the strength of the Magi race had doubled, how could the demon race be a match for the Magi race? Moreover, the Magi race had a saint. That was Hutu. Hutu could leave the netherworld. However, after leaving the nether realm, he lost his almost invincible strength in the untainted land. He was just an ordinary saint. But an ordinary saint was still a saint. Could Hutu watch the decisive battle between the Magi and the demon race? She would definitely make a move. Yes. Thanks to Feng Zichen, other than the saint, the Magi race also had a connate cardinal treasure. The connate cardinal treasure of the primordial world. How could the demon clan fight against such a powerful sorcerer tribe? Therefore, The demon race had to have the combat strength of a saint to contend against the magi race. Otherwise, the situation in the primordial world would evolve from two powers fighting for hegemony to one race being dominant. This was something that the heavenly Tao did not allow. It was the justice of all living beings in the primordial world that the magi and demons had declined and left the stage of the primordial world. It was also the will of the heavens that could not be defied. The heavenly Tao was based on this criterion. That was why it secretly increased the strength of the demon race, and allowed the primordial chaos Daoyuo Jingxian to be born, so that it would have the capital to contend against the magi. It was under such circumstances that Tai was able to successfully attain his Tao. Otherwise, how could it be so simple to transcend the world? This was clearly the heavenly Tao going easy on him. Even so, the demon clan was still not as powerful as the sorcerer clan. However, the heavenly Tao would not increase the strength of the demons. Instead, it would think of a way to suppress the magi. The heavenly Tao understood that going too far was as bad as falling short. If he raised the strength of the demon race too much, it would cause them to be unable to do anything in the future. That would be a joke. Among the 6 sages, the first to be eliminated is Her Highness Nuwa. Furthermore, with Grandmaster Tongtian's personality, he would not do such a thing. The Heavenly Lord of Primordial Beginnings' personality is incomparably arrogant. He probably wouldn't stoop so low as to use such underhanded methods. As for the Grand Pure One, he seems to be doing nothing, but he is actually doing everything. However, he became a saint in the human race. With this incense, he will not attack the human race. Then there are only the 2 sages of the Western sect. The 2 of them are good at playing with souls. They are also shameless enough to do such a thing. After analyzing it, Feng Zichen felt that the chances of the 2 sages of the Western sect doing this were very high. Firstly, the 2 of them were from the Western sect. The more chaotic the East was, the more beneficial it would be for them. The magi and demons dominated the sky and earth. How could they have the chance to preach? Only when the 2 races fell would they have a chance. Secondly, in terms of the Tao of the heart, Feng Zichen had obtained extraordinary achievements because of the divine Tao of incense. There were not many people in the primordial world who could defeat him, and Zhuan-Ti was one of them. This time, panic spread among the humans. Before the incident, Feng Zichen did not notice it at all. This meant that the person who did it had higher achievements in the Tao of the heart than him. Then, the one who met the 2 conditions at the same time was Zhuan-Ti. It seems that the Western sect is still too quiet. I have to find some fun for you. Thinking of the humans who had escaped, Feng Zichen was really angry. He was determined to give the 2 sages of the Western sect retribution. With a thought, Feng Zichen's spiritual will had already reached the interior of the chaos bead. There was a quaint pond there, filled with a liquid that emitted a 7-colored light. It was the qi of 7 emotions and 6 desires that Feng Zichen had collected over the years. Because there was too much of it, it gradually gathered into liquid. At the bottom of the pool, there was a mirror that shone with Khanate Tao light, and was filled with the aura of the mortal world. It was the supreme grade Khanate spirit treasure, the mortal mirror. Doesn't the Western sect focus on cultivating the heart? Then I'll help you. After calming himself down, Feng Zichen pulled out his hatred for the 2 sages of the Western sect, and injected it into the 7 emotions and 6 desires in front of him. Splash! When Feng Zichen's hatred entered the pool, the water in the pool seemed to be boiling and kept bubbling. Then a lotus flower grew from the bottom of the pool, slowly growing into a bud that was filled with vitality. Good. From now on, you are the Western sect's tribulation. Looking at the bud, Feng Zichen said indifferently, this was a demon born from the 7 emotions and 6 desires, so it was also known as the inner demon. Whether it was the current Western sect or the Buddhist sects of the future, they all focused on cultivating the heart. The inner demon targeted the heart, and could be said to be the natural enemy of Buddhism. This was the retribution that Feng Zichen had given to Zhuan-Ti. Do you want to prosper? Get past the inner demon first. Humph. You asked for it. With a cold snort, Feng Zichen sent the inner demon pool out of the chaos bead, and let it drift in the void. The appearance of the inner demon was a necessary part of the heavenly Tao. Therefore, Feng Zichen did not need to worry about the safety of the inner demon pool. The heavenly Tao would arrange everything. After doing all this, Feng Zichen left the chaos bead. How could a mere inner demon extinguish Feng Zichen's anger when the Western sect treated the human race like this? He had to think of a way to cut off the roots of the Western sect. At the very least, the Western sect could forget about preaching in the human race in the future. The human race was the protagonist of the world in the future. The Western sect could not preach in the human race. It did not seem like a big deal now, but in the future, it would be a big problem. Pass down the order. From now on, all mortals are not allowed to join the Western sect. After passing down the order, Feng Zichen waved his hand and sent it into the destiny of the human race, so that it would be passed down from generation to generation. It would not be forgotten by the human race because of his absence. Without the human race, the Western sect is still so prosperous. You're tuning in to the Echoes of the Heart YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.